Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today is the 29th of July, 2020. My name is Kerry Holzman, and today, according to the subject of the video, we're going to talk about benchmarking. Why? We're going to get into that in a minute. Welcome in. I see a bunch of friends already joining us in the chat. Tony Wallow, John Craig, my friend there, Ron Hillier, Ronald Dobbs, Dan Copeland, John Craig, Ron Sprague. Welcome in, guys. Good to see everybody today. And I think I'm just going to jump right into today's subject. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. You know what? I got a couple of things that arrived in the mail, and let me show what I was sent. Let's see. I got a headlight in the mail. This comes from Michael Colgate. He says, "I promised to send you this item. I'm sorry it took so long for me to get it in the post." This came from London. He says, "I think you might find it useful for looking inside of computers when building, as it will prevent the need of the use of a flashlight, leaving both hands free to do what you need to do. Please, could you tell me what is the best file storage size? I have 4 drives, internal drives, and each one is a 1 terabyte solid state, one of which is split into 2, C drive for the operating system and the rest, the other partition for storage. I have an external drive which is 2 terabytes, and that's mechanical, and I'd like to decrease the file sizes so I would not have the need for the mechanical drive. I'd really like to put another solid state in there, but I haven't got the space on the motherboard for another drive. I put all my DVDs on my PC, which I built last year thanks to you, and I'm going to stream them over Wi-Fi using Chromecast from PC to TV so I can sell my DVDs if anybody wants them. I'd also like to know if you can recommend the best free video converter." Well, Michael, I will tell you that things like converting videos is sort of a thing of the past. It's sort of a practice from 10 to 20 years ago when people were traditionally doing this. The reason why it's not really done so much today is because the video quality of DVD it cannot be appreciated on an HD TV, let alone 720, 1080, 4K. It just gets worse and worse and worse. A lot of times, many movies have been remastered to be in 4K, and many of these movies are already available for streaming. They've already been ripped, they've already been encoded, and they've already been upscaled or remastered in both visual and audio, rendering any sort of ripping that you're doing inferior to what's already available for a rental fee, for less than the cost of what you would invest in all these drives. I had a customer who was starting to run out of space on their office storage. Come to find out that the owner of the business was having his administrative assistant back up all of his iTunes movies in case he ever wanted to watch them again. But what he failed to realize was the expense he was paying me to back up the storage and the cost to upgrade the storage. Could have bought those movies 10 times over just in the first, year and a half. So it cost him more money to hold on to them. These days, with the amount of content that's being released, lately there haven't been any new movies coming out. Well, there's been some video on demand and some independent stuff through the streaming services like Netflix, of course, but your big movie production houses have postponed movies like the new Avatar films, the Kill Bill 3 sequel, any Star Wars sequels, all postponed. The release of Top Gun was supposed to be out last month. It won't be out till next year. The release of so many movies because of the pandemic has been released, has been put off indefinitely. And the resulting part of this, of course, is there's not as much content coming out as frequently, but it'll return to what it was. In any given year, I think there are 300 or 400 new movies released year after year after year. And to try and collect them is a very expensive endeavor. Even if you're pirating the movies, it's very expensive to store them. So I strongly advise you to get on board with a streaming service that's already got this stuff ripped, already in better quality. Watch it anytime you want to watch it. Let them store it, let them back it up. You don't have to worry about drive failures, drive replacements. It's just so much easier. Same is true with music. More and more new music is released. It's not like they're taking any old music away, right? So you got music from the 30s, 40s, 50s. Each decade and each generation generates more music and more genres than the one before it. The 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. It just keeps growing massively and massively, and it doesn't get any smaller. And trying to maintain your own personal library is sort of a school of thought from the pre-2000 era, I would say, before broadband internet was so popular. In the long run, it is my opinion that it is cheaper, more reliable, and you get better quality if you simply stream your music and your movies. Stop buying the albums. The quality is inferior compared to like if you had a CD, let's say, and you ripped it to an MP3, and you compare that with some of the streaming services, not Spotify. Spotify, their music actually sounds pretty good despite some of the snobbery about audiophiles. But I will tell you that there are specialized streaming services that offer higher quality. But regardless of that, most people wouldn't notice the difference. And ripping from your source CD, your content isn't going to be any better than your original that you've got to work with. So I personally don't, I cannot condone hoarding. It doesn't make any sense. And when I say it doesn't make any sense, I mean financially, time wise, and the quality you're going to get is just going to be inferior. And what you're going to spend and the amount of time you're going to invest to do it and categorize it and catalog it, I guess it's something to do, but it's going to get expensive, and it's only going to grow, right? Because the more you collect and the more you need to back up, you can't win that. You can't win it. You will eventually run out of room. You will run out of room, or you will run out of money. So that's the best way I can answer that. As for the torch, the flashlight, I already have one of these. A viewer sent me one. I don't like to use it. I've asked people to reach out to me before sending me anything, because I've had people send me things I already have, but I guess they assume because they don't see it on camera that I don't have it. But the thing is, I don't like these. But I appreciate the thought. It was very thoughtful of you to do it. And this one doesn't seem as bright. A lot of times with the lights people send, they're so bright it just washes everything out from the camera. So again, your thoughts are in the right place, and I'm very grateful and appreciative to have people such as you showing such kindness and generosity. Unfortunately, it's just not something. I'll add it to the other one. I think there's actually two other ones. Speaking of which, someone else wrote to me. Again, that's from Michael. Michael, thank you. And then I had this in the mail, and this comes from Bill Bauer, and he says, "Hey, Carrie, I thought you might get a kick out of what I sent you here, especially for you. So literally enjoy a Coke on me, and also enjoy the Amazon gift card. Thanks for all the great content, my friend." That's from Bill Bauer. Well, Bill, thank you so much. I have to tell you, once again, this is something I already have. And unfortunately, the post office left this in a mailbox, in a metal mailbox on a 116-degree day, and it sat in there for a couple of hours at least. So I don't think this is going to be drinkable. But I've shown these on the channel before, and it's a great showpiece. I used to keep them out on the counter by the microwave, but you can go to I think it's buycoke.com or something like that, drinkcoke.com, and you can customize bottles of Coca-Cola. If I can get it out of the box. And again, it's a thoughtful gift, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness of it, and I think it'll just be perhaps a stage piece. I'm not brave enough to drink this after it's been out in that oven that we call outside, but it's got my name on it, which is really cool. And yeah, I'll set it back there right now. It'll be back there for some future videos. And then Bill also sent an Amazon gift card, which again, this is what if you want to support the channel, it's a great way to do it because I just got done ordering a bunch of stuff off Amazon, set me back about $900. So anything you can help to offset the expenses for the items I'm using in videos. Like, for example, I just got a liquid cooler for this, which I wasn't going to put in, but this thing is so fun to work on. The liquid cooler is $180, and then I got a customized power supply, which again, all from Amazon, which matches the color scheme of the case, kinda, from the same manufacturer. So that's going to go in there, along with the liquid cooler, and then a customized gaming mouse that has an adjustable palm rest on it. And I will get back to that next week when the giant liquid cooler arrives. As for the Amazon gift card, thank you so much. In this metal box, there's an Amazon gift card in there, and this is an unusual way to send a gift card in that just a lot of materials wind up in the landfill. You can do all of this electronically if you want to send an Amazon gift card. Down in the video notes, a link will take you to Amazon.com in the US. I can't use it if it's sent through other countries. Like if you have to go to Amazon.com. If it's sent, like somebody from Amazon.in in India sent me one, a couple people in the UK sent me from Amazon.co.uk. I can't use them. Or rather, I can, except that I have to pay UK prices and pay UK shipping to the US and then wait 3 to 6 weeks for the product, which doesn't make any sense. So I feel bad, Bill, that you paid for the shipping and everything. This obviously had to get mailed to you, and then you put it in a box, and then the Coca-Cola bottle was mailed to you, and you put that in a box, and you took that to the post office. That was a lot of effort. I want you to know I appreciate it, and it's completely unnecessary. And you can avoid sending duplicate items, and you can avoid even having to go to the post office, especially now during the pandemic. Stay home as much as possible. At the same time, I do want you to know that it means a lot to me, and I do appreciate it. We could have just made everything a lot easier. That's all. But it doesn't change the fact that you went above and beyond what most viewers do, and I want you to know how much that means to me. For both of you, Bill Bauer and Michael Colgate, I appreciate both of you very much. And to everybody else who contributes in their own way, whether it's joining us here in the chat or super chat contributions or PayPal contributions, Amazon card, whatever. People sometimes send a board or CPU that's not too old that I can reuse, things like that. Or even just allowing your build or your repair to be filmed so we can share that experience with the viewers. That's all because of this community, which is amazing. I can't stress to you how amazing this community is. Now, that being said, I want to get to the topic of today's video, which is about benchmarking. Now, I've got a series of videos about benchmarking axioms, meaning misunderstandings of benchmarking results and the double meaning behind many benchmark results. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And I want to preface all of this by saying there is a stereotype of the phrase nerd that involves people who are passionate about minutia that doesn't really matter in reality, that regular non-nerds, right? I'm going to say regular people, but I'm going to just say non-nerds because who knows what regular is anymore. But non-nerds will look at you and go, you must be out of your mind to care about little details that ultimately don't make a difference in any practicality. So I want to give you an example. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I recently watched a video that Steve Burke did over at Gamers Nexus where he was reviewing cases. In fact, he was reviewing, I think, the LandCool 2. And I wanted to get an eye on that before I started the build. Ryan, member of the community here, sent me the LandCool 2 and wants me to review it. Now that I've seen it on Gamers Nexus, I wish he'd have never sent it because it looks like something I don't want to work on. But I'm sort of obligated, so I will. During the review, I want to say it was this review, Steve evaluated case temperatures against, a dozen other cases. And the range of temperature between the hottest and the coldest was, I want to say, 10 degrees centigrade, Celsius. Same thing. Yet in fine print, it said there was a plus or minus 7 degree Celsius tolerance for accuracy. So depending on how you do the math, all that time and effort he spent evaluating the coolness of the case resulted in about a 3 degree variance of all the 12 cases, if you look at it that way. I will tell you, when I started this YouTube channel, the reason why I started it was I was sick and tired of that. I like Steve Burke. I think he's a cool guy. He's a very knowledgeable tech journalist, very thorough. He's very good at what he does. But I'll tell you what I see happening and why I started this channel. These people that are extremists, and let's face it, Steve Burke is an extremist. He gets into minutia that only other extremists are really drawn to. But here's what happens. Somebody who's curious says, I want to build my own computer, starts watching these YouTube tech videos. And they're seeing liquid coolers, and they're seeing overclocking and delidding and liquid metal. And they think they need that. They don't have any point of reference or comparison. So I have systems brought to me, I wouldn't say all the time, but it's not uncommon, where the configurations don't make any sense. And I ask the user, why do you have the liquid cooler? For example, they're bringing me a new build that doesn't work. I say, why did you put the liquid cooler in? Are you overclocking? Because they're coming off to me as somebody who doesn't know much about computers. So I'm a little confused. Why did you put the liquid? So I thought I needed it. I said, well, why did you think that? Well, that's what I saw online. All right. So you wasted your money. You made your build more complicated. Now it's got a problem, and you're bringing it to me to fix. All right, fine. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. But the vast majority of these YouTube tech videos are made by extremists, and they're made for other extremists who care about little details like that. And the same can be true of any extremist. Audiophiles who want to tell you that vinyl sounds warmer, they got to be out of their mind. Like, as far as I'm concerned, vinyl sounds awful. It's positively awful. Just it's horrible. And then you get to hear the needle popping and clicking across the groove, and so again. So some audiophile is telling me I need to buy a $2,000 amp and $4,000 headphones. I've got to ask myself, am I somebody who's going to find that important? Because I think most people, most regular people, cannot hear the difference. Some can. And those who can, when you ask them, is that worth paying X amount more dollars for that difference? Then the majority of those people would say no. You see, those who've already decided, they made up their mind before they put the headphones on what they were going to like. They did it all subconsciously. And in the nerd community, there is this emphasis of minutia. If we're talking about Star Wars, the details that any ordinary Star Wars fan perhaps would never notice, the extremist that's all they see, and that's all they want to talk about. Look, in this scene, Luke is holding the green milk in his right hand, but in this scene, he's holding it in his left hand. You know, who cares? What does it have to do with the story? What impact does that change to the movie? So the editor had accidentally flipped the film upside down when they were editing. Who cares? Who cares? You don't understand how films are made. You don't understand editing, but you want to point out all the mistakes. And that gets them excited. I guess they rise above, up in their head, that they've noticed something other people don't notice. They're more intelligent. They're more aware. I don't know that I agree with that. They're hypersensitive, and they're magnifying minutia that's irrelevant. And I see this a lot on benchmarking. I will see benchmarking results regarding temperature or performance where there's the common questions are being asked about how others can achieve the same levels of cooling or performance. And nobody thinks to ask the person who's asking the question, Why is this important to you? The reason why that's an important question to ask is for people to have some self awareness of what they're what they're trying to accomplish. So if you're in video production and you're trying to accomplish so many frames per second rendering time, and it's going to make a difference with how much work you can get done today, that's a really good thing to know, right? How can I render this out as quickly as possible? Is there any performance boost I can give my computer that can make me more productive? But I find 99 times out of 100, the people asking these questions are simply bored and curious and have nothing else better to do. And this is a hobby for them. And they want to experiment and play. And they use the computer for experimenting and playing to see what the computer's capable of. But they don't actually use the computer to do much work, or the kind of work that they're doing isn't more productive because they boosted the speed. Now, they'll tell you, I get more frames per second and it makes my gameplay smoother. It's all a load of hooey as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, I said it, hooey. These pots and pans make my food taste better. This camera makes me a better photographer. A 6-year-old with a 10-year-old system can kick your butt in Fortnite. I don't care how you've overclocked it and what graphics card you've got. It doesn't make up for your skill. A fancier piano does not make you a better piano player. I guarantee you, if I put Billy Joel in front of a $12 Casio piano, he can play the crap out of that thing, and you will be impressed. So, dated references aside, I want my audience to understand that I created the channel for regular computer users. And I did it to sort of dilute or to make people aware that this rich technical data coming out of most of the YouTube tech channels is minutia that is irrelevant and impractical and doesn't matter to the vast majority of average, ordinary, everyday computer users and business owners. No business owners, generally speaking, are putting RGB or liquid cooling or overclocking. Some do, but they represent a very small percentage. Now, the number of videos that talk about this versus the number of videos like me who mention this is totally impractical is completely opposite. So we have 90 some odd percent of YouTube videos in the tech sector that are all extremists with no disclaimer saying, look, the information we're providing you at the end of the day probably doesn't matter. If this case runs 10 degrees Celsius hotter than this case, in our testing, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. As long as your CPU remains within its operational temperature, it doesn't run better and it doesn't run worse. It runs exactly the same, unless it's thermal junction, right? Unless it's throttling. That's it. But here's an interesting thing that happened. As I started to make the videos, more and more of those nerds who care about the minutia came into my channel and started to issue corrections to me over my oversimplifications. Because as smart as they think they are, they don't get that I'm trying to simplify things, not to teach people about minutia, but to get them to take their focus off the minutia. I want you to focus on the big picture, okay? The big picture is having a good, reliable computer that's operating within the performance range that it's expected. It's not breaking any records, and we're not experimenting, and we're not spending a whole ton of money for stuff that's not important to us. And give everybody the gist of it. Now, once they get the gist of it, if they get the bug, right? And they go, well, I really got to know how much hotter I can get this CPU, and then I got to know how I can cool it. They can go to plenty of other YouTube tech channels for that information. There's no shortage of that. They're everywhere. And yet, there is a large number of this community who are wonderful and great people who I fail to understand, especially some of them that become extremely critical, why they are here. In other words, I didn't create this channel for them. Literally, nearly every YouTube tech channel is for them. This one is for everyone else, and everyone else makes up the vast majority of computer owners. And I can tell you, everyone else doesn't care about that stuff. Go up to your mom and ask her what she thinks about the temperature of her CPU. The average computer owner honestly doesn't care. And I'm here to fill that niche. I'm here to fill a gap on YouTube for regular folks who own computers, which, now is pretty much everyone. But they're being excluded from this community of minutia seekers. And some of the problems with benchmarks involves fraudulent testing, failing to update properly, BIOSes that trick a particular benchmark into performing better, caches that affect the performance rating of a benchmark that isn't designed to recognize and work around that. On top of that, different versions of benchmarks, different versions of drivers, the operating environment in which the benchmark is being run. There are so many variables. And if you, I'm going to tell you this the way a regular person looks at it. If you need a piece of software to tell you whether or not your computer is slow, it doesn't make any sense. If you sit down at your computer, you know if it's faster. You are the best benchmark the computer can possibly have. Do the things you normally do with your computer, and you can feel it. And I know this is a foreign term for many of the nerds who are profoundly obsessed with minutia, because where they're strong in looking at the minutia, they are weak, in most cases, in my experience, with feeling. They're sort of cold and Mr. Spockish. And there's not a lot of emotion or feeling outside of anger and frustration of trying to accomplish a goal that at the end of the day has no practical reason. I got to get this thing 10 degrees cooler. Why? I just have to. But there's something called feeling, right? Feeling is something that's washed out in virtual reality. Feeling is washed out on the internet. People are mean. They say horrible things to each other because they have no feelings. They're lacking a piece of humanity that most of us have more of, and then they think they're intellectually superior and encourage themselves to continue on their path, not realizing that they're emotionally inferior. And it's sad. To me, it's sad because feeling is being alive. A computer is not alive. A computer does not feel. Anything that feels is living. And if you're not feeling, and I don't mean, well, I feel this or I feel that. No, you need the full range of feelings. You need empathy. You need senses. You need to sense when something is right. You need a little intuition. You need feeling. And there is an epidemic of non-feeling technical folks who only care about facts, regardless if those facts are practical. It is critically important to them, and they make videos about it. And so here's what happens. Feeling people watch that, and they feel that that's important because the person who's doing it is stressing how important it is to them. But they're not disclosing that practically, right, in practicality, it doesn't matter. Like if you're a regular user with a regular box, you're gonna be fine. People that delid and put liquid metal on, I feel bad for them. I just feel bad. Generally speaking, there are some people who do put the liquid metal on because of a need of production. But most of the people, especially online, that are doing it are just bored. The oxidation that occurs, the way that it doesn't age well, you're not going to have a computer that's reliable in 8 years with liquid metal. It's just not going to happen. It's highly unlikely. It is a profoundly complicated process to do correctly, and it's highly discouraged. It's dangerous, it's expensive, and you can damage your equipment just so you can get 7 degrees centigrade cooler. I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. And I'm here to tell the regular folks out there, don't buy into it. Understand that this is a very select group of technical snobbery. And it doesn't make any difference in the real world for most of us, the vast majority of us. And you should ask those people, when they insist how important this nonsense is, ask them what they do with their computer where that makes a difference. And if they tell you it's gaming, that's nonsense. Because gaming, first of all, is not important. Gaming is a luxury, it is a recreation, and at the end of the day, whether or not you win a game is going to be based on your skill or your internet connection and latency, or the server's latency and internet connection, than on how many frames per second you get. Now, if you're sitting at home playing a game by yourself, that only matters to you, right? That's all in your head. And if that makes you feel good, I got no problem with that. But if you're out there preaching it to other people as though this is the way, I have a problem with that because it's not the way. It's the way for people who are bored, for people who are obsessed with impractical minutia, and for people who have a lot of money and a lot of time. I think for average, ordinary computer users, what they need is a good dose of reality. And what they want is a good dose of reality. They don't want to be spoken to in some foreign language using technical terms that make them to feel stupid, that make them feel inferior. And there's plenty of that across the internet. It's very important for other people to make other people feel inferior. I don't know why. It's pretty popular. And this discourages others from joining into the community, a community that is no reason it should be a prerequisite to have to be a nerd. In the traditional sense, you can be a nerd in another way. You can be a nerd in being practical. You can be a nerd in loving minutia and acknowledging to others who are not nerds that they really don't need to care about stuff like this, that that's just something you're into, right? I like to put things in certain places. It's OCD. It's not required. It's my preference. I don't force you. I don't insist that you put stuff in the same place as I put stuff. That's my deal. That's me. So I don't say here's where you put your car keys when you get home at the end of your day. Here's where the plates go. Here's where the dishes. I don't do that. Because to me that's imposing your will and your disease onto other people. And it is infectious, it is contagious, and it is very, very hard to cure people. Like to get somebody to understand that they've been worried and researching about frequency or temperature, and they're just built their first rig, and they're obsessed with what thermal paste they should buy, and that the standard cooling fan that comes with the CPU somehow isn't good enough. Like the manufacturer is going to sell you something that's going to break, that they have to warranty, that ruins their reputation, inconveniences their customers, and yet they sell hundreds of millions of units a year, but you believe the guy on YouTube who says you got to have it. Now, if the noise of the fan bothers you, yes. And if you're going to overclock, yes. There are reasons, but those reasons rarely get fully explained on the videos. It's just assumed you're on board with the rest of us minutia seekers, and we're going to eke out every single degree Celsius that we can, even though at the end of the day, the system still runs exactly the same. So oftentimes the benchmarks are not accurate. Oftentimes the benchmarks can be manipulated. Oftentimes the benchmarks don't matter anyway. If you can't sit in front of your computer and tell me if it's fast or slow, relying on a piece of software to tell you makes me feel sorry for you, because if you're listening to the robots, then we've already lost you as a human. You've already become a slave to the machines. Feeling, get your feelings back. Feel when it's faster. You can feel it. Be a better gamer. Sit in front of any computer and game well. You can kick butt if you're good at a game using your neighbor's computer or your nephew's computer or your own computer, regardless. A good gamer is a good gamer. If you're a good chef, it doesn't matter what pots and pans you're using. If you're a good photographer, anybody can hand you any camera and you're going to take amazing pictures because you're a good photographer, right? If you're a good painter, you're a good painter. It doesn't matter what paints you're using or what your canvas is. This is where the nerds who care about minutia, this is where you lose me. And I want my audience to know that I'm trying to do something different here because I feel it's necessary. There is a huge gap on YouTube because of the passion involved with people who seek out minutia. They are more often than not YouTube content creators. And in the technical space, that can mislead people into thinking what they're talking about is important. But it's only important to them and people like them. And so to become like them and to adopt their importance because you're assuming it's truly important, it is not. I'm here to tell you, It is not important. Not for most of you. And when I say most, if there was a room of 10,000 people, I'd say 9,900 of you wouldn't care one iota about this, in the sense that you would receive really no benefit in practicality if you followed through with the advice or you didn't. Your machine, at the end of the day, is still going to do the same things you had it do before at relatively the same speed, because at the end of the day, we're talking milliseconds of difference. And if you care about milliseconds, and if you care about 3 degrees Celsius, then those other tech YouTube channels are for you. This one is not. Now, I don't mind if you enjoy the content and you want to stay. What I do mind is when people speak up and try to correct me because they have this obsession with minutia and they lack the feeling that I'm trying to describe. And it results in a very frustrating conversation and often a lot of bans. So, let me look through the chat. I haven't been looking at the chat here, and we'll see what sort of controversy we might be stirring up with my observations. Oh, a couple of contributions. Let's see. Essential Working Too Hard has contributed $5. OG Gaming with a $10 contribution. Dale Maluk contributes $20. Ronaldo Torres with a $5 contribution. Jeremy Kramer with a $5 contribution. Jeremy says, great episode, Carrie. Keep up the good work. This one falls under Computer Life 101. What's that PC behind you, the striped black and white new build? Oh, that's that's in the video. Just look through my video library from last week. You'll see it. Frankie B with a $50 contribution says, here's a little something for you and the channel. I got to wait for my refrigerator. Frankie, thank you for that very generous contribution, as always. And of course, Jeremy, Ronaldo, Dale, OG Gaming, and Essential Working Too Hard. Thanks for supporting the channel and making this possible. Now, somebody might say, well, you benchmark computers, Kerry. Well, yes, but not for the reasons you traditionally will see it done on other YouTube channels. What I'm trying to do is not achieve a bare number of any temperature or a bare number of any frame rate when I run, for example, TimeSpy or the Heaven benchmark. I'm looking for the computer to run that smoothly and without crashing. When I'm running Prime 95, I am pushing the CPU and the RAM as hard as they can be pushed for a ridiculous period of time that the end user would likely never ever do in the entire ownership of the computer. And if the computer can do all that while maintaining a no greater than 85 degrees Celsius maximum temperature on the CPU, and it does so without crashing, then I'm very confident that I can give the machine to the customer and not have any support calls for a very long time. But then we build computers also for fun. And building computers for fun results in some pretty stupid and expensive purchases. This is one of them. The chip I've got on there does not require a liquid cooler. And if I were to put a liquid cooler on it, it wouldn't need to be a 360 millimeter radiator. But that's exactly what I got. And I'm going to tell you why I did it. This computer, for me, is one of the most fun and easy to work on computers I have worked on in years. I didn't know that's what this computer was going to become. I did it as a joke. I did it to get views. And I have fallen in love with this machine. And I don't care if you think it's ugly, because I'm not selling it to you. I'm not offering it to you. And so I don't care, right? I don't care if you like the shirt I'm wearing, and I don't care if you like my kitchen floor. I don't care if you like my accent or my hairline. I don't care, because it has no impact on me at all. I don't require your approval. You are not my authority. And it's interesting, to hear somebody say that's an ugly case. Good for you. I don't care. It's not yours. I didn't build it for you. You didn't pay for it. Don't worry about it. I am truly enjoying this case. The only reason I want to put a liquid cooler on it is because of how easy it looks and how it's going to add to the colors. And I want to have that experience. There's nothing wrong with the power supply I put in there. And there's nothing wrong with that Noctua cooler I put on there. It's fine just the way it is. But now I'm like, I might have a little fun. But I want you guys to know this is all unnecessary. It's completely impractical. But this is the easiest case and the most fun case I've had to work on in probably over 10 years. It's so much fun and it's so easy. Everything comes apart. I can't get over how inexpensive this case is, given how many little pieces and painted, powder coated plastic, metal, the LEDs, the fan, the glass. There's so much expense in putting something like this together. It's hard to believe it sells for as little as it does when you compare it to other cases. You know, for $100, looking at a Corsair 200R, you don't get near the kind of customization that this case has. Corsair has just one paint job on the 200R. It's only got 2 side panels and 4 screws. This thing has, I don't know, 40, 50 screws holding different panels all together. It is intricate in its design. And this may be getting back to minutia that ultimately doesn't matter. But for somebody like me who's working on machines all the time, I see a lot of the same thing over and over and over and over again. So for me, this is fun. Now, if you're a first-time builder, this may not be so easy for you. Corsair 200R would probably be easier at a first-time builder. And you also wouldn't be putting on a liquid cooler. And you also wouldn't be spending near as much money. So that's where we get into the passion and the feeling. And I've mentioned this before. There's something about the way this feels. When it powers on and it installs Windows, with that motherboard, that 10700K CPU, that Noctua cooler, that G-Skill Royal Z RAM, all those parts just feel like they mesh like 2 gears perfectly. There's not the feeling I get from AMD like the emergency brake is on in the car. Like something's wrong with this. I can't quite. The AMD systems I'm using with the motherboards and RAM and solid state drives, something feels off. I can't tell you what it is. It's feeling. Feelings aren't always to be trusted, but I'm telling you, this feels like one of the best, strongest, most reliable, easy to work on, fastest computers I have ever built for the money. The proof is in the pudding, right? How I feel may not match reality. But I will say there's nothing wrong with having a good positive attitude and outlook. And when I build some of these AMD systems, I get a feeling, and I don't mention it because I know I have a technical audience that's just gonna, that's not factual. I can't measure your feelings. But I build them and I keep it to myself. I'm like, something about this AMD system just doesn't feel right, and I can't put my finger on it. And maybe it's because I've been doing this for 29 years, but I can feel it. I can feel when a system doesn't work right. And some of you may not believe that. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't change how I feel. And I'm not going to tell you those feelings are always right, but I have them. I can sit down at a computer and I can oftentimes feel by using it, not necessarily by benchmarking it, but by using it, I can feel that it's loose and it's reliable and it's happy. And on some of the AMD systems, like the streaming computer here, I have felt since day one, since the day I built it, there's something not right. And I have traded the RAM out 3 times at $120 a shot. I have changed out the cooler. I have changed out the fans. I have changed out the motherboard. I have updated the drivers and the BIOS. It's still not right. And it has bizarre behaviors. The streaming computer, when I first turn it on, sometimes the fans spin and no post happens. Turn it off, turn it back on again, then Windows boots. Windows comes up, and when I run OBS video playback, it stops, it starts, it stops, it starts, it stops, it starts. I hit restart, start menu, restart, and it says restarting, and it just sits, and it sits. I get bored of it. I'm like, this is enough. I hit reset. It's a 3900X. That's a 2070 graphics card in there. This is a very expensive computer, and it's behaving like something I pulled out of a trash bin. Well, on that third reboot, every single time it works perfectly. So before I start my broadcast, I turn on the streamer and I go, let's see if it's going to post today. Now, keeping in mind that when I'm done filming here in my kitchen, I unplug it from the wall. Everything, all the cables get pulled. This is not a studio, this is a kitchen. So the computer sits without power. Normally when you turn a computer off, it stays plugged into the wall. But by draining the power from it, something's happening where it just refuses on occasion, about every 2 out of 3 starts from a cold start, meaning I've literally plugged it back in after being unplugged for 12 to 48 hours. The fans run at full speed, very, very loud, and it just refuses to initialize. It won't post. Holding the power button in sometimes won't turn it off. I have to reach around back and hit the power switch on the back of the power supply to get it off. Turn it back on, then it boots into Windows. It looks good, but then I go to play one of my media files, like my intro, and the intro plays and pauses, plays and pauses, plays and pauses. I hit restart, it never ever restarts. It just cycles, it says restarting, the screen goes blue with the restarting logo, and it'll sit there indefinitely. Eventually, if I wait long enough, it will give me a blue screen. I just hit the reset button on the front of the case, it boots without problems, and it runs perfectly. I can't tell you what that is, and I'm sick and tired of putting different RAM in it. I'm sick and tired of looking for BIOSes and chipset updates. I'm tired of it. And I have this feeling that when this is done, if I replace the streaming computer with this, regardless if I unplug it from the wall when I'm done or not, that this will perfectly run on the first boot every single time. OBS will never, ever exhibit those behaviors, ever. And that it's something unique to the part selection of this build, despite the fact that nearly every part has been replaced. So that's when I'm saying feeling, that's what I'm talking about. That's really, really irritating to me, to have a machine that's around $3,000 sitting on the floor here that isn't performing like a $3,000 machine until you baby it. And then it requires more time and it requires more money. Well, let's go look at RAM on the QVL list. I don't look at QVL lists. I don't look at them. There are reasons why the industry has standards, and if a manufacturer won't follow those standards, I'm not interested in doing business with that manufacturer, be it a chip manufacturer, motherboard manufacturer, or a RAM manufacturer. All RAM is Intel verified, period. That is not true of AMD, and I'm losing my mind and my wallet chasing after these little gremlins because of the fanboyism of AMD. I appreciate that you guys like AMD. I got no beef against AMD. I got a problem with the RAM manufacturers, the motherboard and BIOS manufacturers who support AMD. They're the ones letting me down. But that's me. That's my feelings. And I have the ability to fire up a YouTube channel and share those feelings with people. And people know who I am. When somebody doesn't know who you are and you're just kind of a stranger out of nowhere with a fake name and you've got one computer from AMD and it works great and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, Kerry. Well, your sample size is tiny. Well, I've got 3 computers. Okay, well, how many have you seen on this channel? A lot more than 3. My sample size is a lot bigger than yours. Well, maybe I just got lucky. Well, maybe you did. Or maybe I'm just super unlucky with the sheer number of volume I'm doing that they all, not all of them, but a lot of them, just problem after problem. I have another AMD system I built last year coming back in for service now. I am so over it. And I think it's deceiving to focus on AMD as though it has something to do with the AMD chip. I want to emphasize to you, it has nothing to do with the chip. But the chip is no good without the RAM and the motherboard. And the BIOS is a key piece to putting all that together. So when I'm saying I'm upset with AMD, I'm not talking about their chips. I'm talking about the systems as a whole, the integration and the lack of standards in the AMD workflow that AMD is not enforcing, if they even exist, requiring manufacturers to be Intel compatible with the RAM. If the RAM works on Intel, it should work with AMD, period, end of story. If you can't make it work, don't build a board for us, because you're harming our reputation. That's what AMD needs to do to fix this. And until they do, I have a couple more AMD chips in inventory, and I will build them because I have them, and I will get rid of them until AMD starts wrangling in the manufacturers and enforcing standards for compatibility. I cannot afford to defend AMD. I have a business to run. I'll let AMD run their business, and I'm going to run mine. And if a customer wants to order AMD, I'll be happy to build it. It doesn't go together any differently than Intel. But I can promise you support on it will be very limited because I'm not going out of business because somebody insists on having it. There's plenty of other people that'll build it for you. I'm just done. I'm so sorry I bought those AMD chips because now, well, I've got great AMD chips. I have no faith and I have bad feelings about all the AMD motherboards I've got. I don't believe any one of them is going to bring me joy. I think they're all future headaches based on my experience. And I hope I'm wrong because I'm stuck with it. But I will be focusing more on the Intel stuff. And if that makes me an Intel fanboy, I don't care because it keeps me in business, it keeps food on the table, and it keeps this YouTube channel running. And if somebody wants to send in an AMD system for repair, I am happy to repair it. But I don't know how long those repairs are going to last. It just seems like with these motherboards and RAM modules, it just feels like it's always a matter of time. And I feel like I'm not getting as much time between repairs with AMD systems. They're just coming in too frequently. And I've got to worry about how that affects my reputation as a builder and as a computer technician for things that are beyond my control. I think there are plenty of people that are happy with their AMD systems. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know that those systems are going to run trouble-free. Overall, obviously some will, but percentage-wise, compared to the number of Intel systems that are out there that run trouble-free, I would be curious to see what the numbers are because it feels out of whack. It feels like more AMD systems come back for repair per capita than Intel systems. But that may be anecdotal to my environment. But the cost is real, both in money and time. And as I remain my only employee, it's killing me. It's killing me. And I can't wait to get this streaming computer out of here. It's got to go. And I can't wait to finish this one because I know exactly where it's going to go, for at least for a little while for testing. One of the problems with this case is it's wide open. So dog hair and dust, which are really bad hair, are going to get inside of it. I need to get this system replaced ASAP because I'm losing my patience with it. When I'm ready to stream, when you see me starting late, if my stream says it's going to start at 2:15 and I'm not on until 2:25, it's probably because of the streaming machine. Honestly, it's doing something, and I have to keep recycling it until it works, and that pushes me beyond my start time. And but again, these are just my experiences. I'm not telling you if you build an AMD system that you were guaranteed to have a bad experience. I'm simply sharing the number of bad experiences over a number of AMD systems, not my experience with one or two. And please keep that in mind, right? Don't deny me my experience. Don't tell me what I experienced is wrong. Don't challenge me. If I take a bite of food and I don't like it, and you say, well, you like it, who cares? Like, I don't care. I'm not here to talk about what you like. Sounds terrible, but that's why you have a YouTube channel too. That's for you to talk about what you like. If I ask, hey, does anybody like this? Then, great, let me know. But otherwise, I didn't ask. And that brings back, again, we talk about feelings, all right? How do you benchmark taste? And I mean taste as far as like when you stick a food in your mouth or taste in case design. How do you accurately and factually benchmark that? And I think you'd say to me, Kerry, well, you just know, right? You look at it and you're just repulsed or you're attracted or you're indifferent. And the same, you put something in your mouth, you're like, wow, this is great, or you're repulsed, or, it's okay, you're indifferent. There's no true benchmark for all of us to universally agree when it comes to taste. Equally, this is true in technology. Despite what these other tech YouTube channels would have you believe, that it's not actually as factual as you think it is, in the sense that if those facts have no difference in the computer's performance or reliability under normal stock usage, then what is the point in discussing them? Conversation? If you lap the CPU heat spreader and you replace the thermal material with liquid metal, you can get it down 6 more degrees Celsius Why would I want to do that? So to run cooler. But what do you use your computer for again? Oh, I use it to tell people how to make their computers cooler. I mean, that's what you're using your computer for right now, isn't it? You're telling people how to make their computers cooler because you couldn't have done that before when your computer was 7 degrees hotter? No, I still could have done it. So you were having a problem? Well, it was running hot. Yeah, but what was the problem? The problem was it was running hot. Yeah, but what problem was that preventing you? What was the heat causing an issue with? What programs were crashing? What was the computer not doing before that it can now do? Well, it can run cooler. Okay, you're wasting my time. This is an example of the logic and frustration of those pursuing technical minutia who are incapable of answering exactly why it's important. It's just because it's better. According to who? According to the temps. Okay. I'm so over it. So I realize I am a very, very tiny little minority on this subject matter, which is why I feel it's so important for me to raise awareness of it to everybody else who understands what I'm saying. And for those of you who don't understand what I'm saying, please continue doing what you're doing. I'm not trying to change anybody. All I'm trying to do is make people aware of the value of the information being provided from tech enthusiasts and the practicality or lack thereof of investigating and investing in pursuing those benchmarks, be it temperature, frames per second. If you can't sit at your computer and tell me it's fast or tell me it has a problem without some piece of software, then as far as I'm concerned, you're nothing but an enthusiast. I don't have any technical respect for you because a true technical person feels it. That's my opinion. You will feel it. You will know. You will not need a piece of software to tell you what is wrong. You will not need a piece of software to tell you something is wrong, right? Let alone tell you what is wrong, but just that the fact that anything, you will know. You will sit at the computer and you will say, this isn't running right. And then you will fix it. That to me is what a real technical person does. But I'm old school, right? That's how I was brought up into this. And I feel justified in pointing out the ridiculous nature of impractical minutia that is a constant obsession by the vast majority of not only the tech YouTube creators, but the tech YouTube followers. And they feed each other. They feed off of each other. And then somebody new comes in and hey, that looks like fun. And they get overwhelmed with all of this technical minutia that they're led to believe is important. When in fact, for the vast majority of you, it makes no difference. If anything, it makes things more expensive, it makes things more complicated, and most of it's completely unnecessary. As the computers have evolved, both software and hardware require less and less from the user. It's easier to build a computer today than ever. The ability or the opportunity to make mistakes, static discharge, it's all significantly reduced, significantly. Windows 10 has so many more millions of lines of code than any other operating system before it. It's also very difficult to break it. I don't get the number of computers in for driver issues, viruses, all those issues that Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, every time the operating system comes out, it's better. It's always better. It's more robust, it's more self-healing, it's less finicky, it's more complex behind the scenes, which means it requires less technical minutia manipulating from the end user than it used to be. Same with the hardware. These CPUs are already overclocked. They're already boosted, already out of the box. Anything you can do to achieve any more than that is so tiny of an increase. Tell me what you do with your computer to justify that. And I will tell you the vast majority of people will struggle to give you an actual valid reason other than it's fun, I enjoy it. Or my gaming frame rate goes up, I don't care what you say. Oh, that's fine, I'm not telling you not to do it. But emphasizing that other people would think that's important, I'm sure there's a group of people that do, but they're not regular computer owners. That's a very, very thin slice of a technical community that is it's technical information for technical people. That's what most of the YouTube tech channels are. It doesn't have to be practical. Doesn't have to be necessary. It's just information for the sake of information because they find it fascinating. Most regular people, instead of finding it fascinating, they think it's important. And that's where I'm having a problem. I'm having a problem with misinformation. Information being relayed without proper disclosure. And it's misleading innocent people. It's causing them to spend more money and to have more headaches and to do things they don't need to do. And I encourage all of you to decide for yourselves how much of this minutia you want to deem important and at what cost. It's not my decision to make, but you should be aware of it. Because I don't think a lot of people are. All right. What have I missed? Niles with a couple contributions. Thanks, Niles. Flappity with 14.99 pounds, 14 pounds 99p. Says, great channel, Carrie. I think a tech channel grounded in reality like yours is sorely needed. Keep up the great work. Ironic, isn't it? A tech channel that needs grounding. I like it. John Craig with a 10-pound contribution says the case would give me nightmares. AMD systems do not give me any confidence. They seem to be very unreliable. And until I become more confident in them, I will stick with Intel. Again, I appreciate the contribution. I don't care what you use. You can use AMD. You can love AMD. I don't care. I don't need you to agree with me. I'm just sharing, my experiences. There's nothing in it for me. I don't make a profit if I sell an Intel any more than I make a profit if I sell an AMD. I don't have any investment in either company. I don't work for either one. Neither one is a sponsor. I'm fully independent, and my experiences are quite frequent with regards to the sheer number of machines I see compared to probably most viewers. So you can take that as worthless, or you can take it as, a larger sample set that I'm extracting my conclusions from. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I still have the same feelings. I still have the same experience. But thank you for supporting the channel. Russ Martin, the PC doctor, has contributed $10. He says there's only 2 days left for the mega discount of Windows 10 Professional from PC World. Yes, Russ, thank you for the reminder and thank you for the contribution. PC World is not paying me to promote this. This is something I'm doing for you guys. I'm just looking out for you guys. I'll tell you what's funny. An editor at PC World, Gordon Ung, who's come into our chat room a few times. I consider Gordon a friend, even though we've only met in person 2 or 3 times, and usually for business. You don't hang out. But he's a super cool guy. I really like Gordon a lot. I like his vibe. I like his energy. And I like his sense of humor and sarcasm. And his technical chops are greater than mine. He's a smarter guy than me. And not that that's a high bar, but nonetheless, PC World's podcast they did last week, 2 weeks ago. You'll see the title of it, Gordon Buys Windows 10. And Gordon says, I found out this company called PC World, the company he works for. Remember the sarcasm I was talking about? Because I found out this company called PC World has legitimate Windows 10 Pro licenses for $39.99. And he says, you know how I found out? From watching Kerry Holzman's YouTube channel. Now, here's the thing that surprised me. In the video, there's 2 other PC World authors, contributors. And when he says my name, neither one of them ask who I am. So on the one hand, I was flattered. On the other hand, I also didn't get any smiles or positive reaction from either of the 2. It was almost like, oh, that guy. That's kind of what I sensed. So it was kind of cool that Gordon gave me the shout out and acknowledged that his own company didn't make him aware of this deal. He found out about it from me. Obviously, PC World is not paying me. There's no affiliate link regarding me getting any money whatsoever if you choose to buy that. But $39.99 for a retail copy of Windows 10 Professional. It's a steal so good, I have to tell you. I have to tell you, I'm obligated to look out for you. Even if there's no money in it for me, I don't care. It's the right thing to do. And this sale was extended. It was primarily it was a June special. Then they said, well, it did so well, we'll run it through the end of July. Well, we're almost at the end of July. I do not expect it will be extended. And if you've thought about getting the license, obviously you could buy cheaper licenses if you don't care about gray market or potentially stolen keys. If that's not your problem, if your justification is Microsoft makes enough money, that's your karma. Somebody robs you because you have more than they do, so therefore you can take the loss because in their eyes you have more than they do, so it's okay to take. You can have that mentality. I don't care. I'm not trying to change anybody. But for those of you who want a real legitimate retail Windows 10 Pro license, never seen it that cheap. I can't even buy it that cheap from my OEM distributors. And an OEM license is not as powerful, it's not as flexible as a retail license. So thank you for the reminder, Russ. And any questions for me? I'll be happy to answer any questions you've got. Let's see. Oh, another contribution from Niles Van de Sand has contributed €2. He says, why did you not shout out my message? Your message wasn't positive. Your message wasn't, even though you financially contributed, which I appreciate, you tacked it on with a little nastiness. And I think maybe there's a cultural difference between living in the Netherlands and living in the USA, but that's simply not appropriate, though the contribution is appreciated. So when I get myself caught up on a little bit of a, if you have somebody who's contributing financially, but then they're behaving in a way that is challenging, or perhaps they have a weird sense of humor that if you knew them, you would get it, or perhaps the culture in which they live is significantly different, so they don't think what they're doing is anything wrong with it. I find myself in this weird place where I want to acknowledge your contribution, your financial support, but at the same time, if there's a message tied to it that's not appropriate, I'm not going to read it. And again, if that's the reason why you're contributing, if you're not here to support this community, but you're here so you can hear your name and hear your shouts out, this probably isn't the best place for you. I'm not really up for sale like that. This isn't, I'm not a shouting billboard for your personal agenda. But if you want to be a positive and supportive member of the community, it's more than contributions, and it's not just contributions, financial contributions. There's other ways of contributing, and it's mostly in positivity and kindness. And if that's through financial means, or if it's through supportive, nice things in the chat, it's all appreciated. Sharing links, being somebody other people want to follow, leading by example, right? Setting the example for others. That's a wonderful thing. Just be kind. Save the nastiness for the rest of the internet. Let's have a little place of our own where we can do without that for an hour or two, please. So again, if you have any technical questions for me, I'm going to wrap this video up here probably within the next half an hour, depending on what sort of interaction we can get going here. Thanks to Niles and Russ and Ronaldo and John and Flappity for your contributions today, as well, of course, as Frankie B and Jeremy and Dale Maluk, OG Gaming, Essential Working Too Hard. You guys help to make it possible for me to broadcast more often and for little fun side projects like this to occur along with several others. In fact, if not for those contributions, there probably would not be any AMD build apart from one for testing, because I couldn't very well sell one and expect to support it without having tested it first. And you're going to be looking at spending $1,000, generally speaking, for a test unit that can be exercised. That's why initially the first AMD system I built was the streamer, So it's something I can use every day and live with and determine, is this making me happy? Is this making me angry? And I'm getting angry over a lot of different things, like I already mentioned, RAM compatibility, BIOS issues, driver issues, on and on and on and on and on, which are just growing pains for a new chip. It's to be expected, really. For you to think AMD can just burst onto the market with a perfect chip, with motherboards on board, with perfect BIOSes and compatibility, it's unreasonable. So for the money you're saving, supposedly for the AMD system, you're paying for it in time. At least I am. I'm paying for it far more than the Intel systems, far more. And and if you can show me something you're using your computer for that is of critical importance, and that's not gaming, where your AMD chip is less expensive, and you didn't pay more for a motherboard than you would have for Intel, you didn't pay more for RAM, we're going to assume, than you did for Intel, and you didn't pay more for cooling, I would argue whether or not you actually saved any money at all for what you got in return. Because if you're just browsing the web and watching YouTube videos, your Intel system or your AMD system are going to pretty much do that equally, regardless of your frequency or cores. So again, any questions, technical questions I can address or answer for you, I would be happy to provide you the best answer I can. John Blackadder has contributed $5. He says, I want to let you know I was able to buy 14 tents, sleeping bags, medical kits, and backpacks for homeless and hand them out. How'd that feel, Jack? How'd that make you feel to do that? Not all of us are able financially or capable, and it's its own reward. It really is. Min wants to know, could anyone tell me if my integrated 9900K graphics is better than my old GT240 graphics card? Well, you have to tell us what you're using the graphics card for, right? So one graph, is this piano better than that piano? Is this car better than that truck? It depends. Do you need a truck? What are you looking for in a car? What do you need it to do? What is it that you're measuring better by? This idea that something is better. Is the chicken better than the steak? Is my hair better, longer or shorter, grayer or less? These are all personal opinions that can only be determined by the person asking the question or by somebody who really knows the person asking the question. It is a huge mistake, in my opinion, to ask anybody online who you do not know personally if anything is better than anything else, because you're assuming that you both have the same taste. You're assuming you both have the same needs. You're assuming you both have the same expectations. And the chances are you couldn't be further apart in answering all three of those. Sharon Idle says, how do I cope with an error 8707E7 when upgrading Windows 10 to 2004? Sharon, I would do a clean install. What I would do, if you were to have brought, like if it was possible for me to work on your machine, if I put it up here on the counter, I would disconnect any storage drives, any and all storage drives, DVD, USB, anything you've got, M.2, disconnect them. In the case of M.2, take it out. And I would take a small SSD, like a $20 SSD, and I wouldn't even screw it in or anything. I would just plug in the data and SATA cables, and I would do a fresh, clean install of Windows 10 2004, and I would see if the error still occurs. If the error does not occur, then I would consider making that your new install and pulling the data off that you need and rebuilding. The amount of time it will take you will likely be far less, by at least 90% in most cases, than chasing after gremlins, because when you fix one thing, it might result in another little issue popping up as a consequence. Now, if you go to install Windows 10 2004 and you get the same blue screen error, you probably have bad RAM or a bad motherboard. I would check the RAM first by popping out one unit, try to reinstall again on that same empty, who cares, solid state drive. And I would use a solid state drive because it's faster, right? I mean, if you got a mechanical drive, that'll be fine. It'll just take a little longer. If it happens again, turn it off, unplug the whatever RAM you've got left, and take one of the ones you removed previously, plug it back in, running one module, regardless of how many you have, just try one. One more time, try the reinstall. Blue screen continues. You're having either a motherboard problem, a BIOS problem, or potentially a power supply problem. And at that point, you got to ask yourself, what's this worth to me? A BIOS update may be able to resolve that if it's available. But the problem with diagnosing in this way, of course, is we can say, well, if that doesn't work, then this, and if that doesn't work, then that, and if that doesn't work, then this, and if that doesn't work, unless this, do this, but if this, then do that. And then you forget the very first thing I told you, and the reason I said the very first thing was that's the first thing that's likely. So sometimes the best answer is to give one, and then you report back, hey, that fixed it, or now what? Not that you asked, but I'm hearing the questions in my head, and I'm trying to cut them off at the pass before they happen. But that's what I would do. Yeah, clean install on a spare drive just to see if it's hardware or software that you're fighting. Hugh wants to know, Carrie, on my power supply, should I set it to single or multi? I can't find a definitive answer, which is better. We're back to which is better. First of all, what's the make and model of your power supply? And why do you care? In other words, if you can't find an answer to this question, how important do you think that setting is? Also, have you considered reaching out to the power supply manufacturer? I didn't make your power supply. When people ask me very specific product questions, I have an ASUS P87D, and I want to know if I can blah, 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 blah. Ask ASUS. Why do you think I would know that? Why do you think I represent? It's weird sometimes, the specificity how specific some of these questions can be, as though I represent the manufacturer. Many of these questions, those kind of questions, would be best going right to the manufacturer, going to their support forum or their email. You don't have to call them, just email them and say, hey, what's the deal here? And you can get an answer that way. But I would assume if your system is working, Hugh, what are you doing? What problem are you trying to fix? In the chat, it says, so basically you're saying we should just use common sense. I've been saying that for 12 years on this YouTube channel. Yeah, over and over and over again. Thank you for getting it. I appreciate that. I was heard. Ladies and gentlemen, hearing comprehension, gold star. Thank you. Also, I see some suggestions, wonderful suggestions coming in from other chat room participants to these to help answer some of these questions. And thanks you guys for doing that. Please do jump in with your thoughts on any of the questions that are asked, whether I read them aloud or not. You guys helping each other is a wonderful thing to see. Pew says his power supply is made by Corsair. And he tried the manufacturer and he got no help. So Hugh, what problem are you trying to fix, and why are you so concerned about that switch? What do you think it's going to do for you? What is the potential benefit to this knowledge? Why are we spending time and effort on minutia? Is it minutia, or does it matter in practicality? That's what I want to know right now, because I don't know the answer to your question, and if it was me, I wouldn't care, because if I don't have a problem, this is a good way to start having a problem. Jim says, Carrie, the computer I built for my wife is a simple AMD Ryzen 3 2200G with an ASRock B450 Pro 4, 16 gigs of RAM, and an Intel 660p 500 gig NVMe drive. And all she does as a realtor is surf the web, doesn't need much. Yeah, well, again, um, I, whatever suits your needs. You know what I mean? Like, I certainly wouldn't tell you not to buy an AMD. I'm not telling you that. It's not my intent. Telling you, I'm sharing with you my experiences with AMD, and my customers are typically pretty demanding. So, demanding in the sense that the thing can't be too loud, it's got to be reliable, and I don't need them calling me with problems that are resolved through updated chipset drivers that are not applied automatically, and I've got to remote in and do it. It's just, I can't, I got to make a profit, man. I have to. And it's such razor thin margins on any profit in the computer building industry. Anything that's got a history or establishing a history of requiring more of my time that I cannot charge for is something I need to steer my business away from. But if you're not in that situation, then your decision making process will be completely different. It's not invalid, it's not wrong, it's just different. Hugh says, I want the power supply to last longer. I can't afford another one for a while, so I'd like to set it at a setting that doesn't put too much stress on the power supply. So I've run into this, and I'm going to share some more philosophy with you, Hugh, because this is a very common thing as well. You are under the illusion, I believe, that you can make your power supply last longer. You cannot. I don't think there's anything you can do that would result in the power supply dying earlier or later, because you can't control the quality of the power coming in from your wall. You cannot control a lightning bolt striking outside your house, creating a big electromagnetic pulse that could cause damage to electronics. There's so much that is beyond your control. It is my opinion, if you want your power supply to last longer, never switch it off. Simply put. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to die, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't switch it off if there's a big thunderstorm. Of course, you want to switch it off because that's when a power spike is more likely to occur. But at the same time, we've had power spikes here in my home because of a car accident at the intersection hitting a power pole on an otherwise nice day, completely unexpected. I leave my computers on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In general, they get restarted about once a week, but they'll restart anyway for Windows updates on their own. All of my retainer clients all keep their computers on 24/7 and have done so for years, as I've demonstrated with that used solid state drive I tested the other day. Had very few power on cycles, but it had tens of thousands of use hours on it. And you'll see that solid state drive still works well today. Much like your smartphone, I think you should just leave it on if you want reliability. Most of the calls I get for help, support, are on Monday morning at offices. I had one the other day. I'll give you an example. Customer calls me and he says, Monday. Haven't heard from the customer in 6 months. He says, I'm hoping you can help me. Some websites don't load anymore. Some do, some don't. And I'm beating my head against the wall trying to figure it out. Can you help me? Now, this customer's in thousands of miles away, right? He's using a computer I've never seen before, but I know it belongs to the company that I service. But somehow the owner of the company had this laptop, never told me, and I've never configured, I've never seen it, I don't know anything about it. So I said, did you make any changes? He says, no. I go, so the computer was running on Friday, you were working Friday? He says, yeah. No problems? He says, no. Okay. And then you turn it off. Yeah. Well, now it's Monday. You've turned it on, and now you've got these weird. All right, let me log in remotely with TeamViewer. Take a look at it. So I went to download Malwarebytes. It wouldn't let me go to the Malwarebytes website. So I reset the internet connection settings. I reset the browser. No difference. I said, okay, well, I'll just download Malwarebytes on my machine and then upload it via TeamViewer to his desktop, which I did, and that worked. And then I went to install it, and Malwarebytes says can't connect to the server and fails the installation. He's convinced he has a virus, which, it's not likely these days that if you have a virus, you won't know you've got it. Like if you aren't running any antivirus protection, or you're running crappy antivirus protection, that virus is pretty well made now. It's just going to hide in the background, recording every keystroke you make, and you won't even know about it. So it's not likely a virus, but we'll check it anyway. It's easy. But now I can't. Malwarebytes won't even install now. So then I'll try the MCSoft emergency kit. Won't let me go to the MCSoft website. I check to see if there's any proxy server enabled, reset the internet connection settings. Look at his IP address. Everything looks fine. Changed his DNS server to Cloudflare and Google, right? 8.8.8.8, 1.1.1.1. No difference. I said, it looks like you're on Wi-Fi. He says, yeah. I said, can other people in the house, do you have other computers, phones, tablets? Can you go to these websites on those devices? He says, yes. Yeah, everything works great, just my computer. I go, well, how far are you from your wireless router? It's right on the other side of the wall. I go, well, why you only have 2 bars of signal strength. Everything's feeling really slow. Doesn't that seem odd to you? He goes, well, I moved the router over the weekend. And I said, wait, stop. I asked you, did you change anything? And you said no. He said, well, my wife wanted to move the furniture, so we moved the router to the other side of the room. I completely forgot about that. I didn't mean anything by it, Carrie. I see what you're saying now. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the modem, and I want you to unplug it. Unplug it from power, unplug every single cable on the back of it. He goes, well, it only has the coaxial cable and power. There's no other cable. I said, okay. I go, where's that coaxial cable going? He goes, it's going into a splitter. I said, no splitter. I said, was that the splitter that was there before, or is that a splitter you've added? He says, it's the splitter that was there before. I said, okay. Humor me. Bypass the splitter, run that cable directly into the back of the modem, turn the modem back on. He does. It works perfectly, and his signal strength is now 5 bars. I said, okay. He goes, I feel really bad about this. I saw that 2 bars, and I should have thought of it. And I go, don't apologize for easy problems. I'll take easy problems all day long. I said, okay, so you either have a bad splitter, or maybe you've run your coaxial line too long, so the signal to the modem is getting weak. As for the Wi-Fi strength, that's unrelated to this cable. That has nothing to do with the cabling. That has to do with rebooting the modem. And maybe the modem just needed to be rebooted. That's why some computers were working and some were not. And everything was better. But this call would have gone a lot faster if the customer would have said, yes, something did change over the weekend. We moved the modem. We physically moved it from one side of the room to the other. We didn't just pick it up and move it 3 feet. We recabled it. Well, my focus would have been on that instead of trying to download Malwarebytes. So once he was back up and running and I got back on TeamViewer, now Malwarebytes installed. It ran. It was clean. It was fine. MCSoft, I could access the site. I no longer needed to, but it was there. He was trying to get to his business email using Outlook, and Outlook, he was down. He wasn't able to work. Outlook wouldn't connect. So I said, well, try your Outlook now. Outlook opens, runs great. Very, very, very simple fix. Very, very obvious. So again, just want to share experiences with you in the hopes of making your life a little easier and making you feel a little more empowered. Again, if you have any technical questions for me, I'll stick around as long as we have questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap up a little early today. So if you want me to stick around, please participate in the chat. Ollie has contributed £5. He says, you've got me interested in building PCs back in 2013. And now I'm working for one of the UK's most prestigious boutique builders, Thanks and keep it going. Well, thank you, Ollie. What's the name of the builder? I'm kind of curious. And I'm happy for you. And I'm so delighted that that was inspirational to you and has resulted in a fulfilling career that means more to me than your any contribution financially ever would. Thank you for telling me. Marty is in the chat. Hey, Marty, it's good to see you, my friend. He's contributed $5. He says, good day, Carrie in chat. Good day, Marty. Paul O'Brien with a €5 contribution says, I just bought Roboform for my nephew as he's constantly creating passwords for sites. Well, I mean, who isn't, Paul? But that's kind of you. Take care of your nephew like that. And it's a great deal. Roboform is a password manager, and they're the only sponsor I have and the only sponsor I've ever had. And I'm so delighted that they're working with me because I love their product. I honestly love and use their product and have for well over 15 years. And I see people struggle with their passwords constantly. I have people tell me they don't have passwords because they've had the computer memorize it. They don't know that they set one. My email doesn't have a password. Yes, it does. Not mine. No, it does. And I see people open up. I have a customer, and he's got a 3-ring binder. And he opens it up when I say, what's the email password? He opens it up, he flips a few pages, and these nice laminated, well, they're not laminated, but the pages go into a plastic, thing to keep the page nice and neat. And he goes, it's this one or it's this one. I go, well, when you wrote the password down, didn't you scratch out the old one? He goes, I guess I didn't, so I don't know if it's this one or this one. I go, is that a capital or is it a lowercase? He goes, I don't remember. I'm like, oh, geez. I go, this is not the way to do things. This is making my life difficult. It's making your life difficult. Get Roboform. Under $10 for a year. Install it on as many devices as you want. Some people have asked me, can multiple people use the one Roboform account? Of course. But if it's just one Roboform account, that means there's only one Roboform password. So if you don't care about somebody logging in as you, right, because Roboform will automate it, then yeah, you can get away with one Roboform account. But if you want to keep your stuff private and you want to keep your logins private from other users of Roboform in your family, let's say, then they need their own personal account. But let's say you and your wife each have a Discover card. You can log in to Discover automatically, and she can log in to Discover automatically using the same Roboform account. You just would choose Discover, and you would rename it to, your name, and then be another Discover, rename it to Discover dash your partner's name. And if you don't care that your partner can get into it, knock yourself out. If you want privacy and you want your stuff to be your stuff and their stuff to be their stuff, then everybody needs their own account. But for $10 under a year, that's 60% off. It's less than half of what it normally sells for. And I'm telling you, Roboform is doing special pricing for you guys. I want to remind you that having more subscribers only benefits a YouTube content creator in the sense that when you want to sell sponsorship, they can say, well, how much money do you want? And you go, well, I want X amount of dollars. They go, well, how do you justify that? How many subscribers do you have? The more subscribers you have, the higher your price is for selling sponsorship. I don't get paid more by YouTube by subscribers. If anything, I get paid less. And the reason I say that is with 316,000 subscribers, in theory, 300,000 people got notification that this video went live, and yet only 831 people are watching it. Now realize some people don't have notifications turned on. Some people aren't getting the notifications. Some people are busy doing something else. But what percentage is 831 to 316,000? So the people I'm making money from right now are the people watching, or the people that are going to watch later, not from people that are subscribed. Subscribers versus active subscribers makes a big difference, but at the end of the day, it's the watch time. The watch time pays the same if it's a first-time viewer who's just stumbled on my video, or it's somebody who's been following me for years and years and years. Though presumably, I would make more from the person watching me for years and years and years versus somebody who said, I watched your video in 2013, and now I've come back 7 years later, and it's good to see you're still doing it, right? But if they've been watching all along, then of course I would make more money individually, because they would have more watched minutes of my content. Thereby, I would make more money because of their watched minutes. The money is not much. So when sponsorships are being sold by other YouTube channels, including this YouTube channel, what they're effectively doing, they being the YouTube content creator, is they are selling you. They're not asking you for permission. They are taking you for granted that they can utilize you as leverage to a potential sponsor to earn them more money. What I'm doing here, and I want you to be aware of this because it's important to me that you notice the difference. When a sponsor offers me, when I get offered a sponsorship, more times than not, I say no thank you. I have an inbox flooded from companies in China wanting to sell stuff from Amazon, and software keys for games, Microsoft Office, and Windows, where they're selling the keys at ridiculously low prices. And they want to know how much they can pay me so I can have you buy their keys. And you'll never find that here. I will not stoop to that level. In my opinion, it's morally and ethically wrong. Regardless of the fact I'm not making you buy anything, I'm not forcing it. My endorsement of it, my mentioning of it is effectively my endorsement. Unless I say, don't do this, no company's going to pay me to say, here's their product, and by the way, you shouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it if I were you, right? So if I don't say that, then it's implied, hey, it's a pretty good deal if you want to take advantage of it. I'm not going to force you to buy it, so it's not on me. I'm not saying it's legal. I'm not saying it's illegal. I'm just paid to tell you about it. What you do is you. I don't believe in that. I think people should have more community respect for each other, look out for each other, and protect each other. So when I made a deal with Roboform, I did it under one condition. And you don't believe me? You can ask Simon. I said, what are you going to do for my viewers? He's like, well, what do you mean? I said, you can't offer me the same discount you offer everybody else. Unacceptable. I need you to go above and beyond. I need you to do something for my viewers. And he said, okay, but that's going to basically result in that money coming out of your pocket, right? We'll take some of the money we were going to pay you. In other words, if we're going to pay you a percentage for the amount of money we earn, and we're going to charge your viewers less, then you're going to earn less because we're not going to collect as much. Fine. I'm okay with it. We'll make it up in volume, right? I'd rather sell 1 million copies at $1 each, me personally, than 100,000 copies at $10 each. But that's me. That's my intent. And Simon said, we could offer 60% off. And I went, oh, that's better than I expected. Don't tell him I said that. That's way better than I expected. So when I tell you that I've got a sponsor, you should be asking yourself, well, if you just sold me, what do I get? And many content creators might say, well, you get more videos. Oh, okay. You get to love me more. Lucky me. Thanks for checking in first. So that's what you've got to look forward to from this channel in the future as well. If I'm taking on a sponsorship, even Acronis did not sponsor the channel, but I strongly recommended that they make an offer to the audience, my audience, that was compelling. Give them a reason that, hey, this is a discounted price. It's a limited time. We don't normally offer it at this kind of a discount. And my hopes were that they would see the power of the community through the sales and then want to sponsor me. But then Acronis says, we don't sponsor anybody. We don't do that. Okay. And they said, well, we can make you an affiliate and we can give you a percentage of the sale. And I'm not interested in people buying or not buying. It's not a sustainable. It's not sustainable to me to run a business sponsor. I think Side has a great product, and we're working that out. Again, I'm really looking out for you guys here. I do think Scythe has a good product, but it's just not in stock right now. And it's not ideal to be promoting a product you can't get, at least not in the United States. What's the point in that? So we'll wait till things settle down a bit and hopefully we can negotiate something and bring them on officially. I would be excited to bring them on. I'd be very happy to have them. And I hope Roboform sticks around for a very long time. And I hope you guys take advantage of the offer that Roboform is 60% off until the end of next month, the end of August, which is a long time to run that promotion, by the way. They didn't want to run it that long. I convinced him. I got him to relent. And I'm very, very grateful for that. So there, because let's face it, there are approximately 4,000 to 6,000 new subscribers to this channel every month. That means there's at least 4,000 to 6,000 people just discovering me every 30 days who might just now be hearing about the deal. And that's going to happen on August 27th and August 28th and August 29th. And I don't want them to have missed out. So thank you guys for the reminder. And thank you, Paul, for the contribution. A $1 contribution from Marty. Hey, Marty, thank you. Sharon Idle with £5. Thank you for your help. Here's a token of my appreciation. I guess, thank you, Sharon. I guess I wasn't paying attention in the chat room, but when I was testing that solid state drive that was, years and years old, and I said, is it going to power on? Who's going to bet me? And I didn't see anybody have the guts to bet me. Apparently, and I haven't gone back to look, but apparently Sharon Idle said, that thing is not going to work. I'll bet you $10. The only reason I know this is I got an Amazon gift card from Sharon for $10 after that video. She goes, I owe this to you. And I was like, what's this all about? So she kept it, like, if you would have bet and lost, I'm not going to enforce the bet. That was a very, what's the word I want to use? Noble action from Sharon. She meant what she said and she put her money where her mouth is. Right on, Sharon. Thank you. Chris Kingen with a $10 contribution says, always sound advice, Carrie. Much appreciated. Jack Blackadder with a $5 contribution says, buy yourself more Coca-Cola. I will. Thank you. Paul Jeem has contributed $10. And Joseph Jakubiak. Joseph Jakubiak has contributed $5. Says, great video, Carrie. Here is a contribution for Coke or Gatorade. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Joseph. Is Paul a moderator? He is now. Is Joseph a moderator? Yeah. Frankie B, another $50 contribution. He says, here's another something for the channel. Oh, Frankie, you're very generous. Thank you. The Circuit Wizard with £2 says, evening, Carrie. I'm from Portsmouth, UK. Right on. Welcome in, Circuit Wizard. I think everybody who has contributed currently is blue. Oh, I guess I missed Addy or Ali. And then Jack Blackadder, he's already. Niles is blue. Ronaldo Torres is blue, right? Yeah. Man, I want to see this whole chat room blue. Flappity, we'll make Flappity blue too. Let's turn a bunch of people blue. Jeremy Kramer should be blue. Yeah. Dale Maluk, of course, and OG Gaming Essential. Where all these guys are familiar names to me. And you're all blue. Big Easy with £4.99 says, in your opinion. So, okay, so he wants my opinion. He's not interested in facts. Refrigerator. He says, in your opinion, what is the best motherboard for multiple solid state drives or hard drives, like 9 individual drives for a media server? My honest opinion is there is no best motherboard for that in the sense of building a desktop. What I would do is I would get yourself a network attached storage device, and I would buy larger drives so that you would need fewer of them. So I myself have a Synology 218, which is a very small box. Doesn't require a monitor, a keyboard, or a mouse. It auto updates the software so that it remains secure. I don't have to worry about antivirus like with Windows. I don't have to pay anything. You buy the box. It's a 2-drive box. You could buy a 4-drive. You can buy them as big as you want them. But what I did is I used to buy 4-bay NAS devices. And the reason we went with 4 was to get the capacity that I needed. So on my 4-drive NAS, I had 4 3-terabyte Seagate drives in a RAID 5 configuration. And in translation, what that means is you add up all the drives together. So 3 terabytes each, so 3, 6, 9, 12, and subtract 1 drive as a spare tire. So minus 1. So minus 1 drive, which is 3 terabytes. That leaves you approximately 9 terabytes of storage. And in doing so, I had 4 drives that could fail, 3 of which did. But the RAID array allows you to rebuild your data, but it takes forever and it's a pain in the ass and inconvenient. So I went to the Synology 218 because mechanical drives, you can get like 16 terabytes on one drive now. Right? That would have been 4 4-terabyte drives a couple of years ago. Now I can get a single drive with 16 terabytes. Well, what I did, because I don't think the 16-terabyte drives were out, and they are expensive, you're $500 plus for a single mechanical 16-terabyte drive. What I did is I bought 2 12-terabyte Seagate Iron Wolf drives. Now these are drives designed to be in a network-attached storage device, and constantly. The 2 Seagate Iron Wolf 12-terabyte drives are now in a RAID 1 configuration, meaning that everything one drive does, the other drive mimics. So I don't have 20 of it replaced. If it's not under warranty, I can go buy another one, slap it in there. The RAID array rebuilds again. In the rebuilding process, it might affect performance a little bit, but the Synology is so powerful. The interface is super user-friendly, and it's going to consume less power, take up less space, and require less maintenance. So I would not be looking at a motherboard for your solution. I would be looking at a network-attached storage solution. And I would not be looking at 9 drives. I would be looking at how I can achieve that capacity, whatever those 9 drives add up to, with as few as possible drives, with some form of RAID, whether it's RAID 1 or RAID 5. RAID 1, if you can get everything you need on a 16-terabyte drive, then buy 2 16-terabyte drives, put it in RAID 1. If you need 48 terabytes, well, you're going to have to buy 4 16-terabyte drives, I guess, and then have one as a RAID 5 spare. Or Synology has a hybrid RAID 5 too that might also be beneficial to look into when you're dealing with those kind of capacities. Now, how you're going to back all that up, that's what I'd like to ask you. Thank you for the contribution. Thank you for the question. Do you have a link to your Amazon store to buy the Synology 218? Well, you don't need a specific link to the product. If you look at my video notes and anything points to Amazon, any of my links, just by clicking those links, they'll take you to Amazon. And in the Amazon search, just type Synology 218, make your purchase, and I get a commission based on that. Now, the Synology 218 is cheap. It's under $300, at least it used to be. It's the drives that are the expensive part. So my drives, I think, were $400 a piece at the time that I bought them, and it's been a couple of years now. And the Synology unit was around $300, so it was right around $1,000, but some of the best $1,000 I ever spent because it's just been working. It just works. Plug it in. I didn't spend 5 minutes configuring it. In fact, when I was testing my Netfix tool, if you guys remember, I thought there was something wrong with my Netfix tool, but it was a setting in the Synology that I never bothered to turn on that was causing the issue for browsing the network. And I'm very happy with Synology. I've heard good things about QNAP, but there's a really important update for QNAP devices that are, without the update, very susceptible to malware. So I like letting the Synology go and update. I think it's called DSM, their disk storage manager software. It updates regularly. It sends me an email to let me know, hey, unless you interrupt this in 10 minutes, we're going to put an update on. Let it. It's never caused a problem. These aren't Windows updates. These are Synology, Linux-based OS updates, as solid as a rock. Sometimes, like any update, you can have a little problem here and there, but then they fix it automatically again. You don't have to touch it. It just works. I don't think users should be in control of the updates anyway, because users won't do them. On my TV, I think it was my Amazon Fire Stick came up and said, do you want to update, okay, or cancel? And I couldn't figure out how to get to that window using the remote. Maybe I had the wrong remote. I don't know what's going on. And then the window went away, and I don't know what it wanted to update. Was it VLC? Was it the Fire Stick? Was it the TV wanting to? I don't know. It's never come up again. It should have just done it on its own. It shouldn't have asked me. Customers make bad choices when it comes to security, really bad choices, and it puts the rest of us, it makes life difficult for the rest of us because now they have an infected machine. They don't know they're infected. Their high-speed internet connection is spewing out spam or it's sending out DDoS attacks, and they're blissfully unaware that their machine is acting so maliciously on the internet because they're afraid of updates or they'll do it later. Updates need to happen automatically. You just can't rely on people to do it. Corporations need to have control of the updates, but home users, as far as I'm concerned, they should all be getting updates whether they like it or not. I'm tough that way. Tough love. Okay, any more questions? It's 10 after 4, been an hour and 52. So I've got more time if you've got more questions. Ranger Smith says NAS machines are still pretty expensive. I got to disagree. And I'm tell you why. What is expensive versus what is inexpensive depends on what you're comparing it to. My first 286 computer, my first IBM compatible computer, was $1,200, and minimum wage was $3.35 an hour. Well, no, you know what? It might have been $4.25 an hour. There's 2,080 working hours if you work 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. So $4 or 4 times 2,000 is around, it's about $10,000 a year. Let's call it. So I don't have to break out the calculator for the minutia. You can understand the gist of what I'm getting at here. $1,200 for a computer out of a $10,000 minimum wage annual salary. Today, you can buy a better computer for the same $1,200, and minimum wage is now what, $12 an hour? So now we're looking at $22,000 a year. So $1,200 from $22,000, it's not eating up as much of your salary. You don't have to pay as much. It's less expensive. And you're getting a faster computer, more storage, so much more. USB, we didn't have that. I mean, you're getting so much more. Sound card is built in already. Network card's built in already. So NAS devices used to be right around $1,000. Like if you looked at a Synology, some of the first NAS devices I used were from Seagate, the Black Armor series. And I want to say that without any drives, those Black Armor boxes were like $800. I'm trying to remember. And we're going back 10 years, where again, minimum wage has gone up. But now you can buy a much better, faster, easier to use, more reliable NAS for $300. Less than half. So not only has the price gone down, the minimum wage has gone up, which results in the device being profoundly inexpensive. So if your perspective is one of somebody who wasn't around back in the day, so you never paid that kind of money for one, and you think it's expensive today, I think you lack a proper perspective. But again, this is USA dollars and USA minimum wage. I can't speak for other countries and what the living wage is, how that's gone up or down with regards to inflation, what sort of import fees or other taxes are applied in your country. But in the USA, it is, as the British like to say, cheap as chips. It's $300 for a NAS. I mean, are you serious? I would have never thought in my lifetime they could make the technology that small, that reliable, that cheap, that fast. That's crazy. But if you weren't around and you didn't deal with it back then, you cannot appreciate the evolution and the reduction of the price, the evolution of the technology, the ease with which it's being used. The Seagate Black Armor was all text-based, just like DOS. Synology looks like Windows. The Seagate Black Armor did one job. The Synology, you can load software on it. You can run Linux on it in a virtual machine. It's slow, but you can do it. Yeah. You can go to the little app store in Synology and download apps just like you do on your phone. Making a little computer, but it doesn't have any keyboard, mouse, or monitor. And it sips the power, and you just leave it on. By the way, you talk about leaving things on. How often do you think they shut off servers? Network attached storage device, 24/7. It'll be one of those devices you have very few problems with if you ever own one. And part of the reason, in my opinion, is because you never turn it off. The circuit wizards contributed £2 and says, I need a new career. I love PCs. How do I get started? With all due respect, there are people who say, I want a diet. I need to lose weight. I need to exercise. How do I do it? What exercises do I do? What food do I eat? I feel like the people who ask don't really want to do it. And the people who really want to do it just start doing it. They don't ask any questions. The way you become a computer technician is you start applying for help desk position jobs wherever they're available. Telephone support, it's an entry-level position. It doesn't pay very well, and they're going to give you on-the-job training because it doesn't pay very well. They'll probably treat you like crap, but that's where you're going to get your experience, and that's how you're going to get your confidence, and that's how you can then hopefully move up within that same company or start applying for the next up position, which you will become familiar with once you start at the help desk position. You'll see where things get escalated and who's handling it, and you'll get the idea of how smart they are compared to you. So when I got my first job at a computer store, a computer manufacturer, I said, look, I don't know that much about computers. They're a hobby for me, right? I enjoy them a lot, but I've never been paid to work on one. But what I do really well is I'm a really good organizer. And I understand that you have a job opening in inventory control, which is managing the assets, the motherboards, the CPUs, the RAM, the cases, the power supplies. My OCD makes me really, really good at numbers. And I can, maybe it's not OCD, maybe it's more autism, but I'm really good at it. And I would like to start there, and I would like to move my way up. Like, I don't want to do that forever, but I want to get my foot in the door. And they said, you're hired. I was also wearing a full suit, and nobody in the company had a tie on. I was like the best dressed guy in the building. Felt very weird. I was a little overdressed. So I got the job, and I enjoyed it. It was just me. I had a little desk set up in the warehouse. So you can imagine me in this giant warehouse. And in this warehouse, there's an assembly line of computers and different people along the assembly line doing, putting a hard drive in and they move it down. I don't want to do that. That's just stupid. For me, it's not enough brain activity. In the corner of the warehouse, there's a fence, like you'd see around a yard. And the fence goes floor to ceiling. It's called the cage. In the cage, there's a locked door. It's locked with a padlock. You got to get a key, and you got to open it and get out. I don't even know how this passed fire code, by the way, but this was 1991. And here's the way it would work. One of the assembly line workers would receive an order for a computer build. And we were building 486 computers at that time, designed for use on AutoCAD, for use in AutoCAD workstations. These computers were, yay big, all steel, no aluminum, it's all steel. Big power supply, AT style, not ATX, about yay big, physical on-off switch. You would take your build order and you would take it to the cage. The person on the other side of the fence or the cage would look at your order, and they'd get a plastic bin, and they'd put the parts from their inventory, and they were held accountable because that stuff was expensive. A little chip like this was $500-600 in 1991 money, right? Little RAM modules, stick them in your pocket, super easy to walk away. Having employee theft is a very serious issue in computer manufacturing. So the person in the cage would put the parts in the plastic bin and then bring it out to you with your paperwork. And then you would start the assembly line process of whatever your part of it. Maybe you put the motherboard together, I don't know, whatever. And then you roll it. There was kind of an S-shaped, these things that look like a big hot dog roller, these rollers, metal rollers, and you slide it down to the next station. Well, they were having a problem with what the cage was supposed to have and what it actually had. And the numbers were adding up, and it was costing the company money. So I took that job, and I had a little desk in the warehouse where all the work is happening behind me. Literally, where they're assembling computers, the cage is to my left, they're building behind me, and then in the opposite corner is the shipping where the trucks show up for picking up the 60 or 80 machines we built that day for UPS back in the day, or I think it was UPS. And it was a fun environment to be around. But there was a part of the building process that went to diagnostics. So you have a brand new computer, it's not working, and it would go to the lead guy. The lead guy, by witnessing him and watching him and listening to him, I said to myself, I know more than that guy does. He's the lead guy. So when I went in and I said I didn't know much about computers, I did myself a disservice because I know more than that guy. So there was an opportunity within the company to move up into a technical position, and I said, I would like you to consider me for that technical position. And they said, here's the thing. Our inventory is dead on accurate, and it's never been that way before, so we don't want to move you out of that position. And do you know what I said? Those of you who know me know what I said. I said, so you're going to punish me for doing a good job? And they went, well, that's a horrible thing to say. That's not at all what we're doing. Well, that's exactly what you're doing. You're telling me that if I did this job worse, you would promote me. He goes, let me talk to the boss and get back to you. I was promoted. Anyway, so that's how I got started. If you're sincere about doing it, get a job. Fill out the applications. Back in the day, you had to actually print out resumes on nice paper and put it in an envelope, stick it in the mail, put a stamp on it. Today, you just go to a job finding website, so you can make your resume once, copy and paste it. It's like the easiest, laziest thing possible for job searching. Compared to what I had to do, walking uphill both ways in the snow with my brother on my back. I know why old people say that now. Life was harder. It was simpler. It wasn't as complicated, but it was harder. And find yourself an entry-level technical support, phone support or help desk. That's how you get started. Paul O'Brien contributes €5. He says, how do you reset a flash drive so you can get back the gigabytes if you accidentally set it up to run Windows 10? There's a free tool called Rufus, and with RUFUS, you can download that for free and tell it you want to format the flash drive. It should go back to its original capacity. HP has a flash drive formatter that can also do that. Sometimes, like if you're writing an ISO image, it makes the drive appear to be whatever size the ISO image was. I've seen this over and over again, where if I put an image on a 16 gig flash drive and it's a 4 gig image, it says it's a 4 gig flash drive, and the other space is just gone. And if I format the flash drive, it formats that 4 gig space. But what you need to do is you want to reset it back to its original 16 gig, and for that, I personally use Rufus. And without demonstrating it, I'm not exactly sure what to tell you to click on, but you're just gonna format it, not using the Windows format, but using the Rufus format. without any, no bootable thing, no image. It should be what you're looking for. The good news is flash drives are relatively inexpensive. A 16 gig flash drive is like $4 for a cheap one. So it's not like it's that important to recover. But if you want to learn how it's done, I think I have a video on the channel demonstrating Rufus for making an image. I don't believe I've got one on resetting it. I do have a quick tips video on how to reset a hard drive, and that should work on a flash drive if you want to do it without any tools. But you better be real careful, because if you select the wrong drive and you use the clean command in DOS, it will erase whatever drive you selected. So you better be real sure you selected the flash drive. Rufus is a little safer, though it's giving you a bunch of options that you don't want. You got to identify, okay, I just want to format it and get back to the original capacity of the drive. But if you do a YouTube search here on YouTube, type in Cary Holzman reset hard drive, the same steps apply to a flash drive. That's the old school way. No third-party software needed. Nick Poverman says his QNAP updates automatically as well. I guess some people turn the automatic updates off, Nick. That's why I mentioned it. And it's in the news, the QNAP devices. And look, Synology is not immune from this, but the malware writers will go after any exploit that remains unpatched. And as long as end users want to think they're outsmarting the updates because updates cause problems in their mentality, they create whole new problems. Let's see if I can find the article about QNAP. Where is it? Microsoft now detects CCleaner as a potentially unwanted application. Look at that. Microsoft is now detecting the popular CCleaner Windows optimization and Registry Cleaner program as a potentially unwanted application, or a PUA, in Microsoft Defender. CCleaner is a junk file remover, a registry cleaner, and a general Windows performance optimization utility developed by Piriform. In 2017, Avast purchased Piriform, and there's been some concern among its users about the bundling of Avast products and promotions. Piriform's actions have come under the scrutiny in the past when they made it so users could not disable usage data collection, and it was forcing updates on users even if they specified not to update the program automatically. In 2019, Microsoft temporarily banned CCleaner on the Microsoft community forums that caused links to the program to be censored when posted. This ban was due to Microsoft's general stance that registry cleaners and system optimizers can do more harm than good on Windows systems. This is true. I agree with this assertion. And a new threat entry added today to the Microsoft Security Intelligence site, Microsoft is now classifying CCleaner as a PUA Win32/CCleaner threat. This page does not provide any information as to why Microsoft is now classifying CCleaner as a PUP or PUA. But Microsoft has stated they do not support registry cleaners and that they should not be used. Hallelujah, amen, brother. Yes, preach it. Love it. This is not 1997 anymore. Stop doing things that don't have to be done anymore. That's what I was taught. Okay. And you were taught correctly in 1997. This is not 1997. Keep up. Microsoft said some products, such as registry cleaning utilities, suggest that the registry needs regular maintenance or cleaning. However, serious issues can occur when you modify the registry incorrectly using these types of utilities, and these issues might require users to reinstall their operating system due to instability. Microsoft cannot guarantee these problems can be solved without a complete reinstallation of the operating system, as the extent of the changes made by registry cleaning utilities varies from application to application. Now, that's what Microsoft said in a support bulletin from 2018. Furthermore, Microsoft's evaluation criteria state that displaying misleading or inaccurate claims about files and registry entries would cause a program to fall under the classification of a potentially unwanted program. It is not known if Microsoft considers the information that CCleaner displays would be misleading or accurate. That's first time I saw that story. I was looking for the story about QNAP. I guess Jimmy's thirsty. It's hot out there, isn't it, Jimmy? It's like 116 degrees outside. It's crazy. Well, I guess the story's old now because it's not on the first page anymore. I'm looking at bleepingcomputer.com, and I go to the news section. This is where I like to get my nerd news. And there is a story in here. Somewhere. And I was going to read the details of the QNAP exploit and why it's so important to get the update. I don't know if I ran by it already. I'm on page 5 and it's still not here. Page 5 only goes back to July 16th, so that's how many news stories are published on here every day. There was an issue, speaking of news, there was an issue when I showed off the little garbage, the dumpster fire the other day. This little guy right back here. I saw this on Etsy and I had to have it because to me, the internet's nothing but a huge dumpster fire for all the reasons I've talked about in this video. And this guy, he's a self-employed person. I say guy, I mean person. And sells these little dumpsters in different colors, and it's got a little dumpster fire going on in there, which has a battery. So you can open this up. You can take this piece out. It's another 3D printed piece, and it's glowing. I don't know if you can tell. It's got a little battery under there. Battery is included, and you can have custom printing done on the dumpster. So I had him put the internet on there. Is it gonna focus? There it is. So this is my internet connection right there, dumpster fire. And that day, the day I did this, and there's a link to this in the video notes because I also put a link to it the day I showed this off 3 days ago. Was it Monday? And Etsy had moved a decimal place in shipping and was draining accounts of Etsy creators, people who sell. Where let's say the shipping's supposed to be $11.86, it became $118 or $1,180. Like the decimal was way off. And it's been in the news now that Etsy had this one day, the day that I showed this and said, hey, there's a link to buy these. I don't make any money from this, by the way. I like to support independent, self-employed creators, people who run businesses, even service people. I'd rather hire an individual plumber than a big corporate plumbing company. I'm a self-employed guy and I'm very passionate about what I do, and I feel like I get better quality work and I pay less when there's not all the corporate overhead, right? Like a Dell computer, an HP computer, you've got to pay for all the overhead. They have legal overhead, warehousing, employee costs, numerous corporate offices and private jets and business cars. Right? I'm dealing with one person, preferably, and I find I get better work. And generally speaking, Etsy is made up mostly of individuals who are creative, selling unique goods. And so I just wanted you to see that. And if you had tried ordering this on Monday and you're like, whoa, the shipping's all messed up. It wasn't just you, and it was only that day. It's all fixed now. And if you do want to order one of these, The link is in the video notes below the video. You can customize the text or not have any text at all. The color can be different. And it's just a cute little trinket, and it's cheap. It's, 30 bucks, maybe 25. I can't remember. It was pretty inexpensive. But I wanted to mention that because it was in the news that Etsy had that decimal place error in their shipping charges. Let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask you your opinion now. You've heard enough of mine. There's been some concern about the quality of the t-shirts that are being sold with my logo on them. And I agree. I agree with you. The shirts are thin. They don't seem very well made. And you very rarely see my own logo because it's not comfortable. I don't like it. I like the logo. I don't like the shirt. Well, these shirts, like this Volcano Joe's shirt that I'm wearing, this is made from a company called Crazy Shirts in Hawaii. And these shirts are $35 each plus shipping. This might be coffee dyed. They have different colors of shirts. They use like chili peppers. They have a red shirt. They have beer dyed. It's like a yellow. It's actually beer dyed. And they're in Hawaii, which is a higher cost of living. That being said, I found out they can do custom printing. So I sent an inquiry last night and I said, how much would it cost me if I ordered 100 shirts? You have to order a minimum of 50. And the more you order, the cheaper the shirts get. I said, so what if I order 100 and we'll do like, I don't know, 10 smalls, 25 mediums, 30 larges, 20 extra larges, 10 double X, and 10 triple X. So regardless of the price, regardless of the size of the shirt, the price is the same, which I don't agree with that. I think a larger shirt requires more material. Potentially, a triple XL would require twice as much material as a medium. I have a medium shirt on. And anytime I generally want to buy a shirt, it seems like mediums are always sold out. Like everybody wants a large, so they under inventory the mediums. The reason I'm bringing this up is I have two questions for you. One is if you can get a nice, good quality shirt, my logo in the corner, same logo on the back like this, very 1980s style, sort of a dark color, which I like. I like this color. No color choice, right? It's just going to be this one color. There'll be a size choice. They told me that those shirts will cost me $29 each plus $110 shipping to ship 100 shirts to me. So for me to turn around and sell those back to you guys, I have to buy envelopes, packaging, I have to pay for postage, and I need to pay back whatever that cost per shirt is, right? So basically that's what, $1.10 to each shirt. So I'm paying, let's call it 30 bucks for each shirt. I got to pay for the postage to ship it to you. And if you live in another country, then that postage is significantly more money. And of course, the time and effort to put it all together, put the package together and mail it. And it's, at the end of the day, it's just a t-shirt, a very comfortable, well-made t-shirt, still just a t-shirt. How much should I charge? And what size do you wear if you were going to order one? So I need to know when I place the order, should I be getting more of one size than I'm anticipating? Am I ordering too much of a size? So leave a comment in the video notes below after this has gone live. And let me know if you think it's just ridiculous. That's too much money. Because I figure with the price of postage and the envelopes, and again, depending on where it's shipping, the postage is going to vary, plus my cost on the shirt, I think those shirts are going to have to go for 50 bucks. Now, granted, you are supporting the channel. It's not like I'm looking to become a millionaire from selling t-shirts, but it is these are the shirts I wear. And with, this video is going to get, 6,000-7,000 views this week. Selling 100 shirts, I don't think should be too bad. The only other thing I'm thinking is I can order those shirts and then offer them as a bonus for people who contribute $50 and more, just to say thank you and send them off. But then that means that their contribution isn't $50 anymore. It now becomes like maybe $8 or whatever after postage and envelope. Plus the time. Remember, somebody's got to take your order, sort it, put it in an envelope. And somebody wants 3 shirts. Hey, somebody's got to read that, fill the order. That's my sister. I don't have time for it. But let me know your thoughts. Michael wants to know, would you recommend using built-in Wi-Fi, or is it better to get a Wi-Fi card, or does it not matter? It depends who you ask. For some people it won't matter. If you're a very demanding user and you want the fastest and best security in Wi-Fi, then you'll probably realize what's built in is already out of date. If you have very simple needs, you're just browsing the web, you want something less expensive, and the Wi-Fi from 10 years ago still works today. It's not very secure, it's not good, it's not fast or has real super range. And of course, if you have a cheap router, then there's no sense in spending a lot of money on a real fancy Wi-Fi card, regardless if your router can't handle it. If your router's at this level and your Wi-Fi card's at this level, oh, free hair. If your Wi-Fi card can do this, but your router can only do that, that means your Wi-Fi card can only do that. And if your Wi-Fi card is like this and your router's like that, then it can still only do this. It's going to do the smallest. The slowest is, whichever one is the slowest, is the speed you're going to get. It's not all on the Wi-Fi card. Unfortunately, it's just not an easy question to answer. It depends on your needs, your budget, your expectations, and what you want at the end of the day with regards to performance and security. It's a good question, because I'm having a hard time answering that one. Bob A says, yeah, there's a lot of costs involved with the t-shirts, so $50 sounds like you'll be above breaking even, but you've got to ask yourself, is it worth the time and investment? I'm thinking I want to buy one for myself, but I can't just buy one. I have to order a minimum of 50. And I don't want to buy 50, and just what am I going to do? Just cycle the same every day. You'll see me you'll think it's the same shirt, but I could wear a different shirt every day for nearly 2 months, and they're all exactly identical. And also, they wouldn't be $29 a shirt. By ordering 100, the price goes down a little more. If I went to 200, the price would go down even more. Shipping would go up, potentially double, but the price per shirt would go down. And I'm afraid of ordering too many, not like a shirt's going to go bad, but I got to store them somewhere. And I'm kind of gauging the interest. If you knew it was $50, and also what's going to be the people who are buying, what size are they? You're saying, hey, I'd buy 3 of them. Okay, but what size are you? A small? Because generally you don't order a lot of smalls. Are you a triple XL? Because we don't sell a lot of those either in one end of the spectrum or the other. So if the people offering the money are not a medium or a large, let's say, but they're sort of on the fringes of that, and they're more of them, then I want to make sure everybody will get the size that fits them. What I'm trying to say. I get so frustrated all the time. It's a great shirt. You have it in a medium? Oh, we're sold out. Why? Clearly people are buying mediums. Everybody wants larges. Well, clearly everybody wants mediums. You have larges. Well, it's because we ordered more larges. Well, you should have ordered more mediums. See, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the reality is. The fact is they don't have what fits you, right? So I want to make sure that I have an accurate gauge of how many I should be ordering of specific sizes. Davaro says, 50 days of fresh t-shirts. Sure, neighbor might think you're wearing the same one, though. That's what I'm saying. William Henry says, suppose you set them up with someone who can ship them to the purchaser. I would love to be able to do that, but I'm sure they won't. What is the material? Is it 100% cotton? You can go to crazyshirts.com and you can look up, like, for example, this Volcano Joe's. Just go in there and search, or just go to the men's section, go to tees, t-shirts. Or maybe you're a female and you want the female shirt. You need to let me know because I didn't have any intention of ordering. The female shirts are generally kind of cut this way, and they're all short sleeve. I'm not doing long sleeve. I'm not doing button down. They're just a t-shirt. But these are the shirts. This is the manufacturer of the shirts you see me wear. And the way it feels, very sensitive about the way my clothes feel. Something called sensory processing disorder. I don't think it's a disorder, but regardless, these shirts suit my required qualities of apparel. And I just thought, why am I not, reaching out to these people? Because I don't like the shirts I'm selling now. The logo is great, but the material, the quality material, not happy with it. It's very thin shirt. Feels very cheap. Cotton shrinks. No, these shirts don't shrink. So whatever it's made from, most things sold today are all pre-shrunk when it's. I haven't seen anything that shrinks that's made of cotton. It's usually all done by the factory now. All that stuff I used to worry about when I was a kid, like when you had a decal on a shirt, it was important that you turn the shirt inside out before you wash it. You don't have to do that stuff anymore. It's not 1997 anymore. Kazanson says it is to support the channel as much as a t-shirt that lasts. I will tell you, these shirts stain really easily. I've eaten and had something drip on the shirt, and when I wash it, I see darker circles, and I'm like, I can't wear the shirt now. That's the only downside about these shirts is if you're going to be cooking bacon, right, and the grease is popping and hitting my shirt, that shirt will be speckled. It'll never come out. And if it's a brand new shirt the first day I'm wearing it, at 35 bucks a piece plus shipping, does not make me happy. James Hook says he's got it. It's very good cotton. It's jersey knit. Yeah, see, I don't even know what it's called. I just know I like it. I know it's comfortable. I know it doesn't shrink. I know it's built well. The Crazy Jake's t-shirt that I have has a small hole in the armpit. That t-shirt I bought in San Francisco in the Crazy Shirts have a store like in Key West in San Francisco and Maui. They popular touristy places. And that shirt is, what car did I take? I guess I took the Mustang when I first bought it in maybe February or March of 2013. So that shirt is 7 years old and it's pretty well faded and it has torn underneath one of the armpits. So they reintroduced the Crazy Jake's logo again because they didn't offer it for a number of years. And now it's the chili dye. It's that red color, which I don't really care for. But I like the Crazy Jakes. All these are just made up companies that Crazy Shirts sell. There's no such place as Volcano Joe's. It's just a made up thing. Pre-wash the rub stain with Palmolive dish soap. Yeah, I suppose it couldn't hurt. Like I've got some of these shirts because they're stained. I will use them if I go to Subaru Mike's place and we're going to be working on engines because it's still a comfortable shirt, but I won't care if I get grease on it. It's still a good shirt. It didn't have any holes, but I'm not going to wear it on camera. It's too distracting. But I got nothing to lose. I tried the Tide stick. It didn't work. And I tried Shout. Shout didn't work. I tried shouting at it, and that didn't work. And I don't have the patience. You can go to crazyshirts.com. You'll see many of the t-shirts that I wear. And you'll see the prices. But again, it is in Hawaii, and the cost of living in Hawaii is higher. I wish the prices were less, but darn it, I like the shirts, and they do last a good long time if you're not a messy eater like I am. Be eating, whoops, I'm eating a chicken wing and the hot sauce drips. Oh, that shirt's done. James McRae says, I have a Dell XPS with a bad motherboard. Can I put another brand of board in? Well, I'm assuming you're talking about a desktop and not a laptop, because Dell XPS is also a laptop. I don't know. There's varying models of Dell XPS desktops. What I would do if I were you is I would type in the exact model on YouTube and see if that's been addressed already from another content creator. "12012 channel says, I doubt Crazy Shirts is the actual maker of the shirt. Well, they're dyeing the shirts, right? So they have like coffee dyed, volcano ash dyed. They are dyeing the shirts, or it's their process. Now, where the shirt's coming from, like who's manufacturing it, is it specifically made for them? Is it some factory in China? I don't know. Don't really care, to be honest. I like the quality of the print. Like it doesn't do me any good if I could go right to the t-shirt manufacturer, but now I got to find some way to do the transfer in the way that these are done. It's not a decal. It doesn't. You can't feel it. So and it gets washed numerous times, and it does fade over time, but it takes quite a while for the fading. So I don't think going straight to the t-shirt manufacturer would benefit me. You could sell bibs. Yeah, if anybody needs one. Juan Lopez says, Crazy Shirt says, awesome. Make your t-shirts there, Carrie. Well, I'm trying to gauge how many people would be willing to pay that much for a shirt. Chicken wing died, Sharon says. Talk about two birds in one stone, huh? Glenn's Music. He says, every time I close iTunes, my CD-ROM ejects. And this has happened for at least a year, and it's driving me crazy. And it's mentioned a lot on the internet, but there doesn't seem to be a fix. That's the first I've heard of that. See if somebody in the chat knows the answer to that one. Case Ison says, that's not a stain, it's a unique patina over time for each user. Or in the diamond industry, it's not a flaw, it's an inclusion. Yeah, it's including a flaw. Bob says, I put a kitchen towel over me when I eat. I'm a messy eater. Yeah, sometimes I just need to slow down. I'm always go, 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 hurry, 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 go, go, go. And so I'll often put off eating until I have to, and then I'm starving. And I'm like, you should really savor the food, enjoy it, taste it. Jason says he buys t-shirts with no logos. I'm plain. There's nothing special about that. Get t-shirts with pre-printed stains. Problem solved. Yeah, that's a thing. Kat Morgan says, me being nice and making sure everyone gets a thank you for contributions is a way I help Carrie. Thank you, Kat. I really appreciate that you do that too. I do. It's a nice thing that you're doing. Because sometimes I don't see them, right? So it's nice that other people, jump in there for me. Wayne Trexler has contributed $5 and says, howdy, Carrie. Here's a little something for your fur babies, Jimmy and Lyle, from my fur baby, Nina. Right on. Thank you, Wayne. Paul O'Brien contributed €2 and says, thank you for answering his previous question. Well, thanks again for the contribution and question. Patrick says, Carrie, how about any donations to the channel will get a shirt like you do with a $20 case badge? So the problem with the contributions, like through Super Chat, is I don't get any receipt. I have no email address to the contributor. I have no way to reach out to them and talk to them. The issue with doing it any other way is tracking it. Being able, somebody might say, here's a contribution of $50. Oh, did you want a shirt? And they say yes, then their contribution turns out to only be about $8. You understand what I'm saying? Like it counteracts the contribution. So if somebody intentionally says, I want to buy a shirt, then that's supporting the channel in a different way. You understand? Like I'm a contribution where somebody says, here's $50, keep doing what you're doing. I go, what can I do for you? They go, nothing, just keep doing what you're doing. That's $50 that goes towards the channel. If somebody contributes $50 and I automatically send them a t-shirt, I'm going to subtract the cost of the shirt, the shipping, the cost of putting the shirt in an envelope, the labor and time to identify, okay, that one was shipped, that one wasn't shipped, these have to be shipped. It's a lot of work. So I would rather just sell these at carrieholzmanshop.com and let people order them online that way. And then I offload or delegate that to my sister, and she can handle that sort of side of the YouTube channel, because I can't do everything. I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much. There's people emailing me that don't get responses. I can't. There's just no time. Mike Smith is still waiting to hear how much his computer cost. I have to go back through my receipts and figure out how much I paid for the motherboard, the Samsung NVMe, the ADATA NVMe, the case, the power supply. Then there's the graphics card, which he sent back to me. Then there's sales tax that I paid. I have to put that. I haven't had time. And that's me making money, right? That's not just some random stranger asking me questions on the internet. I am obligated to get that information to Mike, and it's been, what, a month? But I'm also trying to get Studio B up and running, and I'll be there. I was there yesterday. I'll be there again later tonight and tomorrow. More work, more work, more work. And I might have a solution to the internet issue over there, which I'm going to experiment with. Not today, but very soon. It might solve my problem. And if it's that easy, I'll be very happy. But these other things still have to be done over there at Studio B before I can start using it, regardless of the internet issue. Kazanson says shipping and handling is harder than many realize. Yeah, go to an Amazon warehouse or get a job at Amazon. You'll understand shipping and handling. You know, it's one thing to send a package to somebody. It's another thing to have to send out 20 packages to places all over the world with different shipping rates, and to have the packages. Those boxes that your stuff from Amazon comes in, where do you think those boxes comes from? Somebody's paying for that, you know, and it's all got to be included in the cost. Gary Weisenberger says, I'm going to quit work so I don't miss any more shows. I don't know. That sounds like you're trading one job for another, Gary, and I think the one you've got probably pays better, but it's kind of you. Amazon uses nearly all robots. I'll tell you what, Sharon, I took the Amazon warehouse tour by my house, and there's no robots in that facility at all. But they have both. They do both. And robots are way better, way more consistent. They don't call in sick. They don't protest. You know. Glenn's Music has contributed $5 He says, this is for a shirt benchmark app to iron out any wrinkles. It's totally tie-dye for. Oh, ouch. Oh, well, thank you, Glenn, for the dad joke, the dad pun, and the contribution. When you build a PC, give a free T-shirt. Well, that again. There's very thin margins. I'm building the PCs for free. You understand that, right? People are paying for the parts, and they pay me to ship the computer. They're basically allowing me to build the computer on YouTube, so I can share the experience and my experience about how to build a computer using parts that are paid for by somebody else. And then when I'm done, I install the software, activate it, optimize it, do all the things I need to do. Then I have to get it packed up. And it will cost me about $120 on average to ship a computer within the United States via the cheapest shipping method, which is FedEx Ground. And of that, $25 to $30 is the box of the packing material and the labor that they will pack it, not me. And then there's another $10 or so in insurance, depending on the value of the computer. And then depending on the distance and the weight of the computer. So you go, well, then if they paid you $125 and you just spent $120 to ship, you made $5. Yeah, and now you think I'm going to throw a shirt that just cost me, at my expense, $30 in just for free? Something's got to give, right? I mean, I'm going to have to start charging $250, or that's just not going to work. It's a nice gesture. And certainly I'll save money on shipping, because adding a T-shirt to a box with a computer will not change the shipping cost by a penny. T-shirt's lightweight. Throw it into a box this big isn't going to change anything. So in that way, it'll save a little bit as far as the expense to ship it, but I'm still backwards. Like, you can't sustain a business if you're spending more than you're bringing in. That's just basic 101. A charity couldn't even survive that way. So, well, it would be a nice gesture. I would have to significantly charge more for the computer bills. Right now, it effectively amounts to free. Once the cost of shipping is removed from the $125 that people pay, the money I make is through contributions through the community, through the little tiny bit YouTube pays me, and from the little tiny bit Amazon pays me. If you guys ever use my link to make purchases at Amazon, I get a small percentage, like a credit card gets a small percentage. I get that same small percentage from Amazon. And all those things added up make this sustainable, but not to a point where I've got a Tesla or a yacht. What I'm saying. I'm expecting a package to arrive, and the dog was just barking for no reason. He says, "I'm hungry, feed me." Let's get these boys fed. We'll wrap things up. Thanks, you guys, for the feedback and your thoughts, and hanging out with me today. All right, so are you hungry? Oh, is that so? Are you boys hungry? Is it time for dinner? Oh my goodness, you're such a big boy. Look at you. Look at you. Killer. Killer. And you, Mr. Goatier. There he is. There he is. Waiting for some dinner. Okay, let's get some dinner. All right. 1 scoop of doggy bran. 2 scoops. You ready, boy? Does he look ready? Start camera. Come on. Work with me. There he is. There he is. Is this what you're looking forward to? Is this what you waited all day for? Is this it? Well, you weren't all day. You got breakfast. You ready? There you go. All right. And where are we at? We've got about 716 people watching live right now. Thanks to all of you guys for joining me today. Thanks for hanging out. And somebody donates $100, give a free t-shirt. So again, what I would rather do, and I want to emphasize this, is I want to make the t-shirts available to people who specifically want them. Somebody who donates $100 may not be somebody who wears a t-shirt. They might think, well, that's nice, but I don't want this. And again, it's costing me a significant percentage of their contribution, which does not benefit the channel in the sense that it's not helping provide more camera equipment or more bandwidth or more tools or equipment that I can utilize in expanding either to another location, with perhaps getting an editor on board, whatever the case may be. That's all, I'm barely making my own salary, let alone being responsible for somebody else's. And while these are kind gestures, they're expensive. So at this point anyway in the business, I can't afford, except for really, like if somebody's giving, like Frankie B, right? Frankie B is continually over the last couple of weeks been very generous with the contributions. I offer Frankie B, if I had a t-shirt, I'd offer it to him for free. But if it's just one contribution one time, and I hate the idea that I would potentially run out of t-shirts and then somebody wanting to buy one wouldn't be able to get one or get one in their size because I gave them away. So yeah, we still have the mouse pads, by the way. This is the last order of mouse pads we've got for the year, and these are the logo printed. This will be the same logo and everything will be on the t-shirt without the lightning bolts on the outside, right? Just the circle, and then the power is in your hands will be on the back of the shirt. Maybe I can just get some tape, put it on there. This is a pretty thin, lightweight mouse pad, and it's a microfiber material. So you can grab the mouse pad and use it to clean your screen safely without scratching it. And these are available at kerryholzmanshop.com until they're sold out. We'll get more if they sell out next year in 2021. So we're going to sell what we got. I don't want to be a merch. I don't want to sell merch. I don't want to be a merch. I don't want to be a merchant, and I don't want to sell merchandise. But if there's something I can do that is product I'm using anyway, and it's something that's affordable, I'd love to offer my own branded screwdrivers. I'd love to offer my own branded Lazy Susans. All of this stuff is, oh my gosh. Holy smokes. Do you feel better after that? Look at the look I'm getting. Look at that look. What a look. That was you. That's rude. All right. I guess it's time for cookie. I can't possibly wonder. If only you could speak English and tell me what you wanted. I can't have no idea what you want. You look at me, you look at the cookie jar. You look at me, you look at the cookie jar. You look at me, you look at the cookie jar. What does that mean? You need my hand? You want both hands? Do you want a cookie? Do you want a cookie? Okay. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. Here you go, buddy. And you stinker. You're going to take it outside if I give it to you? Bye. Stealth Mode says, I love the mouse pad. Good stuff. Right on. Thank you. I don't want to be a merch Major Day. That was a very loud burp. I don't know if you could hear it over my talking, but that he must have felt better after that belch. I will tell you, that was almost broke a window. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for the day. Like I said, I got to go back over to the other studio, get some work done while there's some daylight. My thanks to everybody hanging out with me today. I'm not really interested in reasons to give the shirts out. I see a lot of people finding ways to justify giving the shirts out for free. There are some very generous benefactors to this channel that I absolutely, without a doubt or hesitation, would offer a shirt to. But they are, you can count them on one hand, basically. I can count them on two hands. And that's not going to solve my problem. So my problem, and I want to remind you, is if the shirts were $50, and I'm assuming that's going to cover international shipping too, I think it will. Would you buy one? They would be this color. They would have my logo, which is the logo that was on the mouse pad. Little corner on the front, big centered in the back, quality material. The shirts I wear anyway. I want to know who would be willing to pay $50 and what size you wear so that I can order in anticipation of, if a bunch of people say they're size medium, I'll make sure I order a certain minimum amount, because right now I'm making numbers up in my head with no basis for those numbers. Like, I don't know. How many smalls, how many mediums, how many larges, how many double X's, how many triple extra large. I don't know. You guys have to tell me. Don't tell me your size if you have no intention of buying, because I'm trying to figure out how many of each size to order. If there's small, medium, large, extra large, triple large, there's 5 different sizes, and there's 100 shirts total. So that means I could do 20 of each one, but I suspect that's not going to be smart. I'll run out of one long before I've sold one of the others. You know what I mean? So you could help me out if you're interested. That's something you would sincerely be considering purchasing. Let me know also what size you wear. If you're not, it's nothing you want to buy, and you think it's just something I should give away, I'm not really interested in that. It's too much money. So what size you wear is irrelevant. I want to hear from people who would, be likely to purchase it. You don't have to commit to it, but you can help me out and just let me know. Or if there's something about it you think you don't like the color, or you don't like, you prefer long sleeve or a sweatshirt, you can let me know. If there's enough of you that would justify a minimum order of 50, certainly worth considering, offering. Though I imagine the shipping would be more money. Kaizen says double XL. Yeah. Mrod088 says $50 is too much. I agree. I think $35, especially when you think, if you spend $35, wouldn't you at least throw the shipping in for free? They don't. So, but I hear you. I hear you. And I appreciate the honesty. Luke Greenia says, hey, Kerry made the usual $20 PayPal contribution. And he continues by saying, thank you for the great live feeds and sharing your daily experiences. I enjoy them. Be safe out there, my friend. Hey, Luke, thank you. Thanks for all of your support, your continuous support, and your friendship, too. And, of course, the contribution, of course. See, like Luke, Marty, David, Hale, Peter Laycock. These are guys that would get free shirts because they've been so supportive. They're like benefactors to this channel. And I'm not sure they get the credit they deserve, because a lot of what I'm doing wouldn't be possible without their generosity. And of course, just the kindness, the supportive nature of just being nice is very powerful. And so very lucky to have so many nice people, and of those, so many who are able and willing to help keep me sponsor free as much as possible so that I can be unfiltered and I can speak my mind without having any necessary corporate approval requirements to be met as a prerequisite. It's so refreshing and it's different. I think many of you are not aware that a lot of things you watch, especially on the bigger the YouTube channel is, the more employees they have. They might have a professional studio space. They might have a camera operator, an editor, plus the cost of the equipment. They have much more expensive equipment. I I really don't want to get that big, and I don't want to be held accountable for paying those folks salaries, people behind the scenes you never see. So it comes down to keeping things simple. It's just me. I'm the only person who can screw it up, and bringing on some minimal help as needed, and doing so with the support of the community, not through corporate sponsorship that requires that I submit any video about their products to them before I can release it to you, so that they can tell me what changes they want made before I publish it. Yeah, no thank you. So a shout out to Glenn's Music and Wayne Trexler, Paul O'Brien, the Circuit Wizard, Big Easy. I missed one from Big Easy here. He said, thanks for the advice and your channel for helping me build my first ever PC during lockdown. Stay safe, all. That's great. Glad to hear that. Frankie B, thanks as always. See, Frankie, as I mentioned, he's another guy that's very generous. And there are people I would give free shirts to, but for what they've given, that's the least I can do. Joseph Jakubiak, thank you. Paul Jeem, Jack Blackadder, Chris Kingen, Sharon Idle, thank you, Sharon. Madi, of course, thank you, Madi. Ollie, Niles Vandesan, Russ Martin, Ronaldo Torres, John Craig Flappity, a few others. Again, Niles had a couple there today. Frankie, again, another generous contribution today. Ronaldo again. Dale Maluk, thank you. OG Gaming and Essential Working Too Hard. Thanks you guys again for supporting the channel. As I mentioned, I've got to go back over to the other studio location and get some work done over there. There's some videos I want to shoot over there, but I may not be able to do it live. I might just film them and then upload them for later. I know that the live videos don't generate the same kind of revenue, but I think the importance of the content is more important than the revenue. And there's a bucket of content I'm trying to get out. I just don't have time. And then the thing about live is I can just blurt it all out and just leave it there. When I film, then I have to edit. And then that's more work, and that delays it even longer, and it's paying me even less for the amount of effort. But there's a couple of things I can film over there probably tomorrow if time permits. Otherwise, I'll get back over here and try and pick up another video. I've got to do the cable management for the Leon Lee system here, and it's ready to go. This system's waiting on a big 360-degree Cougar cooler. It's a $180 cooler. That's completely unnecessary and stupid. It'll be here Monday, supposedly. Oh, Thready right here. Look at all the contributors that made Thready possible. I want to remind you that these are folks, many of which still watch the channel today. And as you can see, if we can zoom in on their names, if their name is on here, then that means they contributed $100 or more that all went into $4,000 worth of parts, including this case. And there's Peter Laycock right at the top, Bill Lillerland, Colin Hilton, there's Wet Willie, there's Ben DeCour. I haven't seen Ben in a while. John Davidson, who watches us in Thailand, has these two companies, JD Beverage and Zone Tech. David Gilman, some of these people I haven't seen in a while. There's John Rice Irving, who watches us from France. We still see him. Jack Wilson has been very generous here to the channel over the years. Still joins us today. Frederick Lundholm, Christoph Esch watches us in Germany. These are still familiar names years later. I think Sterling 3371 is still in there. I haven't seen some of these names in a while. Is your name on here? Maybe you have a different chat room name? Thready may be good to go right now. I don't know. I'm half tempted to put Thready down on the floor and just put the capture card in it and copy the OBS settings over just to run it during a live stream and see if it's going to be quiet enough. I've run Thready in a live stream, in a series of live streams before it got so much on my nerves I yanked it. Now I think it may be better, but the only way to know is not through benchmarking. It's through actually using the computer for the purpose that you've built it. And does it do well? In my case, is it quiet? Does it start every time I turn it on? Or do I have to turn it on and off 3 times like this one? Is it reliable? Is it going to blue screen on me? Thready was blue screening during live broadcast. That's not good. You want to talk about stressing out and being upset? $4,000 and it can't even live stream? Because live streaming is nothing for Thready. On this 3900X that we're running right now, my CPU usage is at 0.3%. 1/3 of 1% of CPU usage is required of a 3900X for me to broadcast in 1080 from multiple camera sources. So Thready, with all those cores, is way overkill for this purpose. And Thready was loud, and Thready was blue screening. So I think with the RAM swapped out and the cooler swapped out, we may have resolved both the blue screening issues and the noise issues. So the more I think out loud, the more I think I'm going to swap out Thready here pretty soon for the streamer. And then what we'll do with the streamer is we're going to tear it down and we'll rebuild it with something Intel, I think. Or I'll build up something new and refurbish the streamer. Just try and find a way to make it reliable and offer it for sale at a discount at whatever loss I got to take to get rid of it. So if you're an AMD lover and you want a really good deal, we can help each other out. So my thanks again to all my friends. There's a last minute contribution jumps in from Madi. Thank you, Madi. Thank you so much. And please leave your comments about the shirt in the comments below the video. Like right now I'm live and the live chat is going on, which I won't see later. I will see the comments later. So if you've already commented in the live chat about your thoughts, it's too expensive, I don't like the color, or I would buy it, but I'm this size or whatever, please post that again after this video is published and it's not live anymore, and leave it in the comments section. I would appreciate that so I can gauge those responses and decide accordingly. For all my friends in blue, thank you for your kindness and your support in keeping the chat room civil. It's been really a very pleasant chat room the last couple of months. Getting the harassment from the spam, from the bots, and from troublemakers has all but vanished. Like you guys are, if it's still happening, you guys are taking care of it before I see it. Thank you. Thank you for protecting our community from people who are trying to set it afire because they're bored and enjoy watching things burn. Dumpster fire. Don't forget about the dumpster fire. The link for that is in the video notes below. Only a couple days left on Windows 10 Pro from PC World. You have 2 days, I think. Does July go to 31 or 30? You got till the last day of the month. It goes to 31. So you got till Friday. If you don't purchase by Friday Pacific time, sorry. Roboform, deals on till the end of August. Lifetime, I'm sorry, not lifetime. Careful. 60% off, and it's Roboform everywhere, meaning you can install it on as many devices as you want. Phones, computers, no limit. You gotta buy a new computer, you're gonna reset your computer, just download, reinstall it. You don't have to pay for it for your entire subscription period. You pay for it for the subscription, right? And while your subscription is active, you can install it on as many devices as you want. Pretty good deal. Amazon link, if you're shopping at Amazon anyway, please use my link to take you there. What else can I tell you? CarrieHolzmanShop.com, check that out. If you want to support the channel and you want a mouse pad or a bumper sticker, just another fun way to show support. If you want to share the videos on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I don't care, whatever you want to do, please don't download the video because it's not yours, but please do share the links because that way at least I get the views, and hopefully if people like what they see, they'll watch more. Remember, it's not about subscribers, it's about watch time, and that's how YouTube pays. If I'm focused on subscribers, then that means I'm focused on selling sponsorship, and I want you to be aware of that. That's what subscribing means. It means I want people to subscribe so that I have value to a potential sponsor. That's not important to me. What's important to me is we maintain as much as possible an unfiltered, independent, real in the working in the trenches computer technician to share practical reality of what this career is like and to give you unfiltered, out of corporate control opinions and based on real experiences that I have accountability for, you know. Hugh Wong has contributed $2. He says, have a great evening, Carrie. Well, thank you. You guys do the same. I will see you all again, hopefully at some point tomorrow. And my sister makes these really, really nice intros and outros for the channel. And let me see if I can find one I haven't used in a while. We'll run the clock. Everybody loves the clock. So until next time, I'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks to everybody, even I mentioned the people in blue, but I want you to know there's people not yet blue that I would love to turn everybody blue. I appreciate your kindness and your support, all of you, even if I haven't individually pointed you out. I do appreciate you. John Blue Nose Studley with a £2 contribution. And thanks again, of course, to Bill Bauer and to is it James Colgate? Michael Colgate? Thank you for those gifts. They're very thoughtful. See you all soon. Until then, there it is. Until then.